Broadcasting live. Okay, you ready?
It's a delicious finish.
The sound of Cambridgeshire.
It's there!
BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sport.
Well, it's been a great start to the new season for Cambridge United with 3 wins from their opening 5 League One matches. Didn't go quite to plan, though, at Leyton Orient last time out.
Danny Andrew caught out by Theo Archibald, who's got away from him down the right-hand side, can pull it back towards Ford, towards the far post, and it's blocked on the line. Galbraith across the face of goal, and it's forced in by Ford.
The U's beaten 2-0 at Leyton Orient in their most recent League One fixture, and on the day they were pretty much second best in all areas. We've got Reading at the Abbey this evening. Reading finding their feet following relegation from the Championship and a whole host of off-field issues. Mark Bonner, though, says they've assembled a dynamic-looking squad.
We know that they've got a young squad, very, very talented young players and super athletic team, and a quite changed style under the new manager. And I think what we've seen so far is some excellent performances and results that they've had, some mega ones, and then some that young players sometimes creates that little inconsistencies around the game.
News commentary across all frequencies here on BBC Radio Cambridge and 96 FM, 95.7 FM, DAB Digital, and you can listen in as well via your television, Freeview Channel 722. That's right across East Anglia with Doug Shulman and Mark Johnson.
Disappointment in the East London rain last time out, but overall United can probably count themselves reasonably content with the start to their campaign. But what of tonight? Well, they duke it out with a Reading side who for the 3rd consecutive year have been a hit with a points deduction, which will hinder their hopes of making it a marquee season. So for whom will the evening be barren, and for who will it be a case of Earlswell that ends well? So Hughes against the Royals at 8.
That's right, and we'll have the team news for you in just a moment or two. I'm Peter Swan, and this is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sports.
The Reading game being moved to Monday has meant that we've had quite a big...
We'll get back to Mark Bonner in just a moment or two. Mark getting just a little bit ahead of his cue there. So let's head back over to Mark Johnson and see if we can bring in the team news. Jono, what have you got?
We can. There's one change, and it's an important one. Jack Stevens is injured, so Will Mannion takes over in goal. That's the only change to the starting 11 that lost at Orient 9 days ago. So Mannion in goal, a back 4 of Liam Bennett at right back, Danny Andrew on the left, Ryan Bennett, Michael Morrison in the middle, Paul Digby, George Thomas behind James Brophy, Jack Lancaster and Soleil Kai with the line. On the bench, keeper James Holden, Fajiri Okunabiri, Harrison Dunk, Zeno Ibsen Rossi, Elias Gachunga, who's back after missing the Orient trip due to family matters, Lewis Simper, and John Kayami Gordon makes his United debut after signing on deadline day from Crystal Palace on loan. So one change, but it's an important one. It's in goal.
And just to keep up to speed with goalkeeper injuries, Will Mannion had been out injured, but fortunately is ready to play this evening, presumably therefore lacking a bit of match sharpness, although I guess that's a little bit different when it comes to goalkeepers. Regardless, though, just from the sense of consistency, Jono, and the way that he'd started the season, it's a blow to be without Jack Stevens.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% a blow to be without Jack Stevens. He'd started the season well, and he has absolutely nailed down that number 1 shirt, but today it's the number 25 who'll be wearing the number 1 shirt, metaphorically, of course.
Otherwise, with injuries, so Kachunga back on the bench, back available following the family issue that kept him out of the Orient game. Sekou Jana, we know, has got a hamstring problem. Jordan Cousins, Adam May on the sidelines as well. Djibril Okadina have been struggling with illness. He isn't back on the bench this evening, but that could easily be tactical with Zeno Rossi available. Is Doug back with us, Jono?
Yes, he is. He's no longer distracted.
Doug,
Hello,
we were talking about the temptation for Mark Bonner, whether he would look to change too much around. You suggested that he probably wouldn't, and aside from one enforced change in goal, that's been the case.
Yeah, as we said a little earlier, he's not a manager that, unless you move him from a league to a cup game or vice versa, he won't make a huge number of changes, partly because he can't, and partly because he just likes to stick with side that he knows well. And there could be a little bit of, go out and show me that Leyton Orient was a one-off in terms of a slightly adverse performance. So Danny Andrew back in, and we were talking about Elias Kachunga and Sully Kaka. Who would it be? And Sully Kaka retains his place. So he's been fairly consistent, hasn't he, this season in terms of his selection. He's only really made changes when he's been forced into it because of a knock or a niggle to someone. So it's a lineup that we're becoming very familiar with, Peter, certainly.
And crucially, to have Kachunga back, even though he doesn't return straight into the starting 11, it's massive, isn't it, to have the extra option off the bench?
Oh yes, it is. Yeah, and when I spoke to Mark after the Leyton Orient game, obviously he was missing Jumbo Lokadina, missing Elias Kachunga, but it was quite obvious that they were lacking a few attacking options on the bench. But this evening you've got Fajiri Ogunabiri, you've got Elias Kachunga, you've got John Kimani Gordon. So in effect, a couple more attacking options there than they had a couple of weeks ago down at Leyton Orient. So it looks quite a strong bench, actually. When you look at Harrison Dunk, who Jono mentioned can play a little bit further upfield if you want him to, it's not a bad squad, really, when you look at it. And Reading will obviously come into this game, still with the relegation fresh in their mind, and they'll look at this squad and they'll look at United's form early this season, and they'll look upon this as a challenge as much as the other way round.
John, I will do the team news more fully for Reading in a few minutes' time, but clearly one name we're all interested in, Harvey Nibbs, formerly of the Hughes Parish. I assume he has made the starting lineup?
You assume correctly. He has made the starting lineup. There is just one change from their side that lost at Exeter 9 days ago. That sees a more defensive player in Ben Elliott come in for Kelvin Ahibathioman, who drops to the bench.
It's been a summer of change for Reading, and it was a deadline day of change as well, with various players coming in. The other player to have moved from the Abbey to Reading is Sam Smith, who I think has got quite a serious injury. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he's got a thigh injury, I think, if memory serves me correctly, and picked it up earlier in the campaign and will be out for several weeks yet. So he won't get the chance to impress again at the Abbey Stadium. And I've got this picture of the last game of last season with both Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs held aloft by Hughes fans on the pitch after the final whistle went and the results had finally trickled through from elsewhere, which is a lovely abiding memory. Let's hope that's the best abiding memory that stays in place come the end of today, certainly with Harvey Nibbs, who's a darned fine player.
Let's go through the starting 11 once again then for Cambridge United this evening, and the headline news is that Jack Stevens misses out owing to injury, so Will Mannion starts in goal. Liam Bennett at right back, no surprises there. Danny Andrew at left back, Michael Morrison, Ryan Bennett central defence. In fact, the rest of the starting 11 exactly the same as was the case at Leyton Orient. So holding midfield, Paul Digby and George Thomas, and then supporting Ghassan Ahadmi in attack. We have James Brophy, Jack Lancaster and Suli Kaikai, fully expecting that once again James Brophy will play as an inverse winger on the right rather than on the left, which is where he spent much of his youth career, and then more recently is headed over the other side. Right then, let's hear from Mark Bonner. He's enjoyed spending a bit of time on the training ground over the past week or so.
The Reading game being moved to Monday has meant that we've had quite a big gap between the last game and this one, which means we've been able to have a real good hit of sort of 3 training days this week. It does just give us a chance when we're not playing to train a bit more, to see the opposition a little bit more, and it's a rarity that we're on the telly.
Yeah, the atmosphere for the home games so far has been brilliant. Under the lights at the Abbey, it should be a really good one in that sense.
Yeah, we have got a brilliant atmosphere, brilliant following to our away games, but really good crowds at home. Obviously, we're getting back towards schools returning at some point, and it being a Monday, I don't know what that will do to the crowd, to be honest, and it being on the telly, I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but hopefully under the lights we create a really good atmosphere and show ourselves as a club and a team in the right light. we know that Reading are probably more the pull than we are for the TV audiences, but at the same time we want to make sure any time that we get in the spotlight we show ourselves in the right light, and find the performance levels that we found the majority of times this season in what will be a tough game. But I think after 5 games we look and think, right, we're in a good position, we've had a good points return from our 5 games, and now in the next 5 game block we want to try and be as productive again.
Yeah, with Reading, I guess it's inevitable really that they're continuing to evolve given how it all panned out for them over the summer and having to do things quite last minute.
We know that they've got a young squad, very, very talented young players and super athletic team, and a quite changed style under the new manager, and it might take a little bit of time, but I think what we've seen so far is some excellent performances and results that they've had, some mega ones, and then some that young players sometimes creates that little inconsistencies around the game, but that's fairly normal and natural. They've got some very good senior players in and around the squad, and 1 or 2 that are injured that will strengthen them as and when they come back. And obviously we know a couple of their players very well. So, I think it'll be an interesting game. I think it'll be an exciting game. And it's one that we want to try and make sure we take maximum points from.
Yeah, unfortunate for Sam Smith with the injury, but with Harvey Nibbs, you won't need too much time to do the research on him. You know exactly what he'll deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously both boys have left a good mark on the place. It's everyone's responsibility to make a good impression and contribute well when you're here, and they both have massively. Yeah, them 2 are ones that we know well. Others we're getting to know as we watch them live and see a little bit more work over the next few weeks. But we're still in that very early stage of the season where teams are finding their way, building connections, new teams, new players, different players arriving in the season at different physical levels, fitness-wise. So it probably takes a bit more time before there's a real continuity in the league and you can really read too much into the results. I think in the early stages, that first 10-12 games is bank as many points as you can, and then as things settle, have a real hit at it when the games start heavy in October, November.
So that's Mark Bonner. We'll hear from the Reading camper manager Ruben Sellers in a few minutes' time. Back over to the Abbey Stadium. Jono, a sense that with the Reading game this evening, I know this is only talking about fixtures on paper, which is a dangerous game, but a sense that with August moving into September, even with the Wycombe game having been postponed owing to international call-ups, the U's just starting to hit a tougher run of fixtures.
Yes, I think so. I think so. And that's the operative phrase, I think, at this moment, because until the season settles down, you really don't know yet, do you? Because we think that Fleetwood are going to be a team that's going to struggle. We thought Bristol Rovers could be a team that's pushing at the other end of the table. But United have beaten them both in different ways. So until you get to that point where you can recognise who is really as good as you thought at the start of the season, you can only assume. But I would assume that United are running into a tough set of fixtures, including the one you wouldn't expect, which is Port Vale at home, which is the next home game in however many days' time, 23rd of September, who have got stuffed 7-0 on opening day and haven't lost since. So it just goes to show, I think we're still settling down in terms of the phase of the campaign yet.
Yeah, apparently that's the way to motivate your team. Get absolutely thrashed on the opening day and that'll kickstart your season. So the upcoming games, Wigan, Derby, Port Vale and Barnsley. And I suppose when we say on paper they look like tough fixtures, it's because you're basing it on Wigan having been in the Championship last season, Derby and Barnsley both in the top 10, but it's a very rough rule of thumb, and we spoke about this in quite some depth ahead of the Orient game. It is a bit of a fool's errand really to try and draw too much from the opening games. You can tie yourself in knots.
I think that's right, and last season I think it was obvious that the division was going to have 8 or at least 6 real contenders, and everyone else would be scrapping to either just tiptoe their way into the playoffs or hope to get somewhere into mid-table. I don't think it's as clear-cut as that, with Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth going up. I think you've taken out some of the quality of the division, and I'm not quite sure what you've got in terms of teams coming down. Blackpool look to be the team that's better organised. Wigan, you thought, might have been in a bit of a state coming down because of their recent history, although they've started well despite the points deduction. And Reading, Well, they're like a pick and mix at the moment. You're never quite sure what you're going to get from them. They are the very epitome of a Fate brand tub.
I thought you were going to start quoting Forrest Gump for a moment there. We were getting dangerously close. Now
That was too obvious.
Talking of temptation, so it's the temptation is there to look at the early fixtures and try and overanalyze and read too much into individual games. Doug, I suppose another temptation for Hughes fans right at the minute is because of what happened last season. I've heard it a lot. Oh, well, we started well last time around, had a wobble in September, and then it became very much an autumn rut. Just because that's what happened last season, of course, there's no real reason to say it should happen again.
No, I mean, what we saw we've seen, barring Leyton Orient, from the opening few games of this season, is that United are certainly a little bit more solid defensively, and that little structure they've got in midfield in George Thomas and Paul Digby operating very well, protecting the back four and gives them an outlet going forwards. George Thomas, is very often set on his way. Paul Digby sits a little bit deeper in it. There's a good structure to it, and what United have got to show is that game against Leyton Orient was a one-off. It was a one-off performance that you get at this level. You get at all levels, really. Every side has an off day, and let's just hope that for United that was certainly the day. But yeah, it just got a little slightly different feel to things, certainly for me this season, and we hope that is carried out through the season. We haven't got the stress and the troubles and the issues that we had last season when it was all a bit narrow and paper thin and by the skin of your teeth by the end of the season. We don't want to see that, and I just got a feeling that's got a bit of a feel about it, certainly the squad this season. And including myself, we were getting a bit carried away perhaps when United were top of the league after beating Bristol Rovers, but hey, you take these opportunities and you make the most of those occasions when they come along. And the fact is that at that point United were the best performing side in the division, so you just have to enjoy it while you can. And what the trick for United is this evening is to say not only prove that Leyton Orient was an adverse performance, but kick on from it, show you've got the character to put in another good performance and put another 3 points on the board and maintain that unbeaten run, certainly at home.
I think you've got every right still to be getting excited, really, in that
thank you.
The Hughes could be ending the evening 5th in the table. That's perhaps a little optimistic in that they need a really big win by 4 goals to move above Portsmouth, but they can get back into the playoff places tonight, which after 6 matches would be really impressive. I think, as we've said on programmes before, it's that difference, isn't it, between managers, players, the staff being professional, saying the right things, doing the right things. As fans, you've got to enjoy every moment when you can. If you get to the top of the table, if you can't celebrate that, even when it's early in a season, then that's a very sad state of affairs.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't enjoy moments like that when they come along and you're a little bit reserved, then when are you going to enjoy it? Are we saying that the only time you're going to enjoy it is when you're top of the table come the end of the season, you've won the league? But you've got to take those opportunities and you've got to embrace it when it comes along. For United, the trick really is to make sure that they stay out of trouble, away from any kind of danger, any shark-infested waters for the entirety of the campaign. I think that is the aim. I said at the beginning of the season that United would have finished 15th. I'm not moving away from that, and it will be lovely, wouldn't it, for United to be in and around mid-table, perhaps even higher. But let's see how the season unfolds. But just steer clear of all that stress, and that's the marker for United. That's the marker for Mark Bonner, and that's the marker really for this new look squad that we've seen. We've talked earlier, haven't we, about the number of players that left the club, the number of players that have come in, and it feels like a restart, a refresh button, and United have got to prove that on the pitch.
We'll hear from Reading boss Ruben Selles in just a second, but whilst we've got a moment, just to bring you the League One table and what could potentially happen for the U's this evening. So Cambridge United 11th, 9 points from their 5 games, 3 wins, 2 defeats, level on points with Derby, with Blackpool, with the Posh, with Shrewsbury. All of those sides have played 6 games. Of course, the U's a bit delayed this weekend because this match is on the television. So potentially the U's could move up to 5th in the table, but as I say, they need to score quite a few goals and keep a clean sheet, most likely. Portsmouth in 5th on 12 points have got a goal difference of +7. Oxford also on 12 points, just inside the playoff places. Then you've got Lincoln in 7th, have got 11 points. Barnsley and Wickham both on 10. Interestingly, you heard Jono mention Port Vale and the fact they bounced back from a torrid opening day. They're now 4th in the table, but with a goal difference of -3. In fact, they're level on points with leaders Exeter. So Exeter, Bolton, Stevenage and Port Vale all on 13 points. The only unbeaten side in League One after 6 games is Portsmouth. Everybody else has been beaten at one time or another, but Portsmouth still, they've got a nice round 0 up against their losses column, 3 wins and 3 draws. So that brings you up to speed with the League One table. Let's hear then from the opposition. Ruben Sellers appointed as Reading manager over the summer, having spent part of last season as Southampton boss in the Premier League. He says he's aiming to turn Reading into a high-energy pressing side.
That has always been my philosophy, try to press the opposition, try to get ball wins as high as possible and try to never be passive or be a little bit low in the pitch. Try to always be active, try to propose things and try to win the balls as high as possible in the places that we know. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes because of the opposition you need to have some different plans, but my style and my way is always to be protagonist and to make things happen. So the high press is one way to do it.
Lots of talk, lots of plaudits for the youngsters in the squad. Obviously you're delighted and may I say, maybe even surprised how well they've done, how they've dealt with it. Clearly, you think they're good players, but has it surprised you a little bit?
No, I think in the players' development is always some of the steps that they need to make. Obviously, I think the huge advantage for them was that they were training with us from the very beginning of the pre-season. So those are the ones that has been training regularly from the day one in the principles and the intensity that we demand. So by now are the ones that understand better and make better connections than some others. So and then I think that Millwall game was the proof for them that they can do it. We have a couple of games here against championship teams in the pre-season that they also show what they were capable to do it. Mm-hmm. The Millwall was the confirmation of what we have seen of them on training in those games. So I think it was a natural thing that happened in that moment. Well, it can happen late in the season, but happened in that moment. And then we just gave them the opportunity to repeat that performance, and they are showing that they are capable to do it.
How important is the personality side of things now in modern day football? Because you don't just need to be a good athlete or a good footballer, but you've got to be the right temperament and the right character as well. Absolutely. But for us, it's not only to have nice persons in the building, because we need a little bit of mix of character, because you need that different personalities, but you need that core inside them that they want to do things. Some things they are more ruthless than the other, someone more polite than the other. But this is coming from a good dressing room, no? It's and we accept that, but we have some character skills that we want them to have when they join us. And I think with the signs that we made, we are already showing which kind of player we want. And then, of course, they have their individuality. But when they play or they are going to the pitch or they are going outside with their teammates, they show that they really want to do things in football.
So that's Ruben Sellers, Reading manager. Cambridge United hosting Reading at the Abbey Stadium in League One. Kick-off at 8 o'clock. Match commentary across all frequencies with Mark Johnson and Doug Shulman. Jono, just take us through then the Reading starting 11, the shape of things, and maybe a couple of players to look out for as well, aside from the obvious in Harvey Nibbs.
Yeah, they'll be 4-5-1 effectively, so they have tweaked things around and they haven't got an awful lot of experience in there. David Button, the keeper, ex-West Brom, Tottenham and about 18 other clubs. In fact, 17 other clubs. This is his 18th club, so he's in goal. It's worth watching. Amadou Mbengwe at right back, Matty Carson on the left, Harley Dean, who is experienced from a Birmingham man, and Nelson Abbey as two centre halves. Then 4-5 in midfield. Femi Aziz, who might play behind a lone striker, but is more likely to be wide right. Harvey Nibbs we know about. He's on the left. Ben Elliott, Sam Hutchinson. Hutchinson's got a bit of experience. He was an ex-Sheffield Wednesday man. And Charlie Savage, as in son of. And up front, Caelan Vickers, who's an 18-year-old who's come through the ranks. So Vickers is more sort of in keeping with the age of the starting 11 and the squad as a whole. But there are some experienced players as part of the skeleton. So they'll be 4-5-1. They're a side that's still emerging. They're a style that's still emerging. And they are still a bit of a curate's egg of a side. They are good in parts and not so much in others.
Yeah, interesting to hear Ruben Sellers say that he's been leaning into the younger players because he's had more time on the training ground with them. There's been a bit more certainty around the younger players given everything else that's been going on.
Well, that's right. They went into the summer not just knowing that they're going to have a points deduction, which is the third consecutive season they've been deducted points, this time for not paying players on time, but they've had umpteen owners, so I think they're on the fifth set of owners in about 4 years, so that doesn't help a bit of stability either. And they were under a transfer embargo for much of the summer, so once that was lifted, they went on a bit of a supermarket sweep and brought in 13 players before the window slammed shut on their fingers. So they haven't had an awful lot of time to bed in a squad, to identify perhaps the players they want, and it'll be fascinating to see how they start the campaign. They've got 5 points from the first 5. It would have been 6 but for that point deduction, so you still don't quite know what you're going to get from it. It's all emerging, and it could be they're a much better side once the January window has rolled through, because they've had a bit more time to work with the players they've got and identify exactly who they can bring in to improve. But they've started, well, Doug was asking our colleague from BBC Berkshire, I think it was, to say how they're getting on this season. It's a decent start. I think the answer was, nah, not really.
Well,
may that continue.
One of the difficulties as well, of course, Doug, is that if you are a Reading fan, if you're associated with Reading in any way, you don't really want to be in League One. It's a bit like Cambridge United dropping into the non-league all those years ago. A major part of the battle, once you've sorted out your off-field issues, if that's what you're wrestling with, a major part of the battle is psychologically accepting where you're at.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, there were pretty lengthy spells during that time that United spent in the conference when Reading were actually in the Premier League. So that's the distance between the two clubs for a number of years, and to find the two clubs now in the same division, it's obviously great for United in terms of the fact that they're here at the Abbey, as we were saying earlier, great attendances, facing sides that graced the Premier League, the Championship for many, many years now. And for Reading, obviously, it's a little bit of a gulp time, isn't it, really, where they think, well, are we going to get those Championship or those Premier League days back? There's troubles off the pitch, but you are where you are, and you have to make that transition. As Jono says, a lot of players that have come into the club quite late in the season. I think they signed a number before the transfer window shut, and I haven't quite checked it out yet, but I would imagine that of the starting 11, probably a good half of them arrived over the summer, and it's just going to take them a little while to settle, a little while to bed in, and of course with that 1 point deduction that they've already got, it could be more if they don't continue to play their players on time. But one to watch, that one.
Yeah, and I suppose
it's about expectations, though, Pete, because we've said all along that an average league position for United to be in, funnily enough, is this level. Over all the years they've been in the Football League, this is the average league division they would be in. Admittedly, they haven't been in it much because they've been flying around using it as a transit lounge. But for Reading, the average division for them over the years is also pretty much this level as well. So I think the Premier years were very much an outlier. So for Reading fans of an established age, who remember them as the Biscuit Men rather than the Royals, who remember Elm Park rather than the Medeski Stadium, they'll recognise full well the bottom two divisions of the Football League. So perhaps it's a reality check for the younger fans, but the more established Reading fans will probably think, OK, we've been here before.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly two sides to the story there. When Reading were in the Premier League for a while, a very well-run club, the likes of Brighton and Brentford at the moment. You'd look at Reading and say something similar was happening for Reading at that stage, but it can all soon change. Let's go through the starting 11 once again then for Cambridge United, and the headline news is that Jack Stevens has picked up an injury. We don't know as to the severity of the injury at the minute, but Will Mannion fortunately is fit enough to come back in. So Mannion starts in goal. Liam Bennett, Ryan Bennett, Michael Morrison, Danny Andrew making up the defence. George Thomas, Paul Digby holding midfield. James Brophy, Jack Lancaster, Sudi Kaikai supporting Ghassan Hadney in attack. Elias Kachunga is back on the bench after missing the game at Leyton Orient owing to a family issue. And new signing John Kamani Gordon is also among the subs, having joined from Crystal Palace on transfer deadline day. So we're about half an hour away from kick-off. Let's catch up with Liam Bennett before we do anything else. So Liam has started every game for the U so far this season in the starting 11 once again tonight. Very much a fan's favourite given his style of play. I had a chat with Liam at the back end of last week, and he says he's really pleased with his performance levels over the opening month of the new campaign.
Absolutely delighted with how it's gone so far. Obviously started every single game, and feel like my performances have been really good and consistent really, and obviously we've got some really good results in that time as well, so hopefully long may that continue.
Yeah, you've been properly tested, haven't you, across the opening games? You've come up against some good players, and in pretty much every scenario you've risen to the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this league gives you. It gives you lots of different challenges, different types of opponents, and I feel like I've stood up to the challenge well and showed what I can do and competed, and made a good account of myself.
It's a funny one playing in the back four at the moment, the side that started the league games, in that you've got yourself at 21 and then the rest of the defence very much at the opposite end of the experience spectrum. What's that been like?
Oh, it's brilliant for me. Literally every single day I'm learning in training and in games as well, because like you say, I'm playing alongside players that have played the game at this level and higher for many years, so always picking their brains to keep learning, and they're helping me through every single game as well.
And what you lack in experience, you can more than make up for in energy. Have you been particularly detailed to do some of the hard running back? Because clearly that's something you've got in the tank that maybe some of the others don't have at this stage of their career.
Well, that's a big part of my game, really, isn't it? I'm aggressive, always on the front foot, and full of energy. And where they help me out with their experience, I've got to help them out with a little bit of pace sometimes to get them out of trouble, and they get me out of trouble. So that's what it is all about. We're a team. We work hard together and do the best to get the result.
In the modern game, fullback or wing-back, it's quite a mad position in terms of what you're expected to do, cover so much ground. You're expected to get forward, and then you need that energy to get back again and be in the right place. Yeah,
I mean, it's brilliant. It suits me really well, because that's what I'm like. I'm an all-action type of player. I like to get forward, like to like you say, defend really well against physically imposing players, and that's just me. And like you say, the way it's evolved over the years, it's becoming more and more of a key position, and can have a big effect on you getting results in games.
I know we've spoken about it before, but something that seems to come really naturally to you, if you have a setback within a game or something doesn't quite go to plan, you're really good at mentally putting it to one side and just cracking on. Is that something that you've had with you right throughout your football career?
I think so. I think that's a big thing with me. Like there's a saying, obviously you're as good as your last action. So if you do something wrong, you got to make the next one better. So I've always been able to have that in me, and I think that's just the desire within me to do well. As soon as I do something wrong, I want to make it right. So that's just a big part of me as a person.
Tell us about your working relationship with Barry Core, because it seems as though that's been big for you. You were together at St Neots for a bit, and Barry, of course, a key part of the coaching setup now. Has that been really important?
Yeah, it's been massive. Barry, I've got nothing but good words to say about Barry. He's been brilliant for me. He obviously gave me the chance at St Neots and was really good for me then, and it's been good to obviously work with him throughout this whole time and get to where we are now. And we regularly go through my clips after games, and see what areas I can improve and how I can help other players around the pitch as well, and just gain a real good understanding of what my role is in the team and how we can help to win games and be really competitive at this level.
So that's Liam Bennett, proper fans' favourite, having broken into the side after Christmas, returning from his loan spell at Walsall, and he's never really looked back. Doug, it's the desire, it's the commitment. As a fan, you just love to see it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And really, from the moment that he stepped into this United side, I think it was the EFL Trophy game against Oxford a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Where all of a sudden he just burst onto the scene, and you thought, well, United have got themselves a really decent, talented and hard-working youngster. Can he develop? Can he make that bridge to the first team, which is what we're always looking for? And boy, has he taken it with both hands. He's a really exciting player, one of those players that really gets you on the edge of your seat every time he's got the ball, especially when he drives forward. And I think that loan spell he had at Walsall last season did him the world of good, because he came back, immediately got himself into the United starting 11. George Williams became not so much the forgotten man, but not the man that was going to be the right back for the remainder of the season. And again, one of those players, Liam Bennett, that played a big part in United staying in the division. And now, he made 39 appearances, and it would take something to move him from that starting 11. And you would imagine one of those players that over time will earn United a lot of money. We know there's clubs watching him, and obviously he's in the spotlight tonight, being on the television and all of that. But yeah, a brilliant signing for United from Sudbury a few years back, and got a great future ahead of him. And United have got themselves a super player.
John, he just seems to have the perfect level of self-confidence in that it takes a lot to faze him. We're not really into arrogance territory at all, just a good level of self-confidence.
He reminds me actually a bit of Luke Berry, in that he'll want to play today, he'll want to have a game tomorrow, and when that's done he'll want to have a kick around in the car park. He's just got that complete enthusiasm, and you just wind him up and let him go. And it's made me smile a couple of times this season when opposing sides seem to have targeted him, and he's come off winning those battles. And I'll be interested to see how many more times this season they perceive him as just the weak link because he's the youngster. Lazy scouting, if you ask me.
Yeah, there does seem to have been a bit of that going on. You'd say probably only Leighton Orient in the last game where he's had any sort of issues. He loves getting in those one-on-one positions and coming out on top.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got the confidence to do that because he knows he has done it in the past and will do so again. So yeah, he's a really decent young player who, it's just frightening how good he could become, because if he's like this at the age he is now, how much more development has he got?
I think the barometer of that, actually, Peter, as well, is that the last game here against Bristol Rovers, when I'm not sure if Joey Barton looked at the United lineup and thought, well, there's a youngster playing at right back, we can perhaps have him on toast. And they put Aaron Collins, who was the League One player of the season last time round, they put him out on the left-hand side, and he didn't have a single sniff from Liam Bennett for the entire first half, so much so that Joey Barton moved Aaron Collins back to the centre of the park. And that's a measure, really, of the talent that United have got at their disposal at the moment.
Yeah, great for Liam Bennett, and I'm sure he'll go well again this evening. We're 20 minutes away from kick-off. We're on the telly. That's why we're playing on a Monday night. Cambridge United against Reading. So kick-off just around the corner. Before we do anything else, let's bring you a bit of news from elsewhere. 81333 if you want to text us here on the show. At BBC Cam Sport is our address on Twitter. WhatsApp 08000 321 333 with the text, and with WhatsApp starting your messages CAM. Evening to Pip and Colin, who say very pleased with Posh's hat-trick of defeats. Long may this continue. We're above them in the table. And Neil in Cambridge, evening to you. Surprised we've made no outfield changes following the awful performance at Orient. I'd have liked to have seen Harrison Dunk in at left back. Also feel that Jack Lancaster has lost his edge in recent games. Equally, I don't think James Brophy has been at his best. We need to make changes when players are off form, and we need to be fair to the whole squad. Well, if you're only just joining us, Jack Stevens is injured, so Will Mannion starts in goal, but otherwise it is the team that started at Leyton Orient, the team that started the 2-0 defeat at Leyton Orient. Mark Johnson, Doug Shulman, your commentary team at the Abbey Stadium. We ought to talk a little bit more about the goalkeeping position, in that Will Mannion played in the game against Sutton, picked up an injury in the game against Sutton. I suspect over the summer, Jono, perhaps Will a little disappointed with Jack Stevens coming in and immediately taking the number 1 shirt, in that with Dimmy moving, he'd have fancied grabbing that for himself, particularly as with Dimmy having picked up that injury last season, he played a lot of games.
Yeah, he got beaten a lot of times actually in some of the games he played, but that wasn't necessarily his fault. There was some awful defending in front of him for several of those occasions, and that when he has played, he's made some really good saves. None better than a point-blank save he made at Port Vale towards the back end of last season, which pretty much kick-started United's great escape, if you can kick-start something with a save. But I think, yes, he can consider himself a little unfortunate to be considered the number 2 keeper once more. But Dimmy Mittoff had to wait a year or two before he became the number 1 keeper. Didn't do him any harm. And I think Will Mannion, if he bides his time, will eventually become that number 1 keeper at United.
It's always so difficult, Doug, with the goalkeeping position, and we've seen it with Arsenal and looking to challenge Ramsdale and bring in competition, how you strike that balance between having somebody who's capable enough as your backup goalkeeper, but equally you need to instill your number 1 with confidence, and more often than not it makes sense to have a clearly demarked number 1. It's a difficult juggling act.
It's really difficult, and that comes down to some of the man management, not only from Mark Bonner, from Martin Davies, the goalkeeping coach here at United as well, because you can only have 1 goalkeeper. It's not like central midfield where you can have 2 or 3 players. Up front where you can have 2, perhaps even 3 players at a time. It's really, really difficult. So a lot of it comes down to the man management and the psychological side of it, and the mental side of the game in not only making sure that you don't shut the door permanently to the number 2, as we shall call it, but that they're prepared and ready to go, because at any point, and this goes for any player on the pitch really, you could be called into action. It could be the 90th minute, it could be the first 30 seconds. You've got to be ready. So for a goalkeeper, so it's all about the mental side of the game, and obviously for the coaching staff, managing them in the right way, because here at United you've got 2 really, really good goalkeepers. I was unsure actually when Jack Stevens came in who would be the number 1 this season, not in terms of the number on the back of the shirt, but who would be the first choice goalkeeper. Obviously Jack Stevens got that nod. He's performed well in the main in the opening few games, but Will Mannion gets his opportunity now a little bit ahead of schedule. When I spoke to Mark Bonner a couple of weeks ago, he didn't think that Will Mannion would be back perhaps until the EFL Trophy game up at Peterborough in a couple of weeks' time, so we hope that he's 100% fit.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jono. There probably is a sense where Will's been rushed back in a little bit. As I said earlier in the programme, I don't know around match sharpness for a goalkeeper. Clearly being match sharp is important, but whether it is slightly different when you're the keeper, I don't know.
It's very difficult to achieve and I think the understudy keeper is probably the worst position in football, because as Doug said, you never know quite when you're going to be called on, if you're going to be called on. You could go an entire season without playing. You need to be ready. So you just expect that Will Mannion is in the right frame of mind to switch himself in, plug himself back into the team, and be the rock at the back that United might need him to be.
With that balancing act around goalkeepers, Mark's moved from his first full season having Dimmy Mitov and Callum Burton and switching them in and out, even disregarding injury, just moving them in and out on form and preference, all of that side of things. And then the past 2 seasons prior to the start of this campaign, Dimmy Mitov very much the number 1. I suppose there's a little bit of a question mark as to the exact dynamic between Will Mannion and Jack Stevens, and in that sense it's a brilliant opportunity tonight for Will.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're friendly rivals. They train together and work together, but without wishing the other ill, they're hoping for a chance to take their shirt away. So it's a really interesting dynamic. And it's one of those jobs that I'm glad I don't have to do, which is manage the goalkeepers at any club, let alone Cambridge United. It's really an impossible task to try and get it right. And if anything goes wrong, it's all your fault. And if everything goes right, well, no one notices.
It's one of the big bonuses as well when you look at this back four, having characters like Michael Morrison and Ryan Bennett. If you change your goalkeeper, and we saw this midway through last season with Dimi Mitov getting injured, if you have to change your goalkeeper and you've got an inexperienced defence, who takes on those additional organisational duties with this defence is not going to overly faze a Ryan Bennett or a Michael Morrison, that there's a different guy in there.
It's a very different setup from when Will Mannion had to play last season. As I said, he did well, but conceded a lot of goals, and I wouldn't blame him for any of them, really. He was in an impossible position there. He's in a much better position tonight.
And fingers crossed he can come away with a clean sheet. Doug, what are you expecting from the game? Of course, one of the elements around Reading is that they have this sense of the unexpected given all of their off-field issues, and there's the real temptation to look at the name Reading, and I know Jono's just told me about their overall history in the third tier, but it's not that long ago they were in the Premier League and they have a stadium that's very much Premier League standard. It's tempting to get drawn in by all of that and not take the side on their individual merits.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it is very much a new playing staff. Not so much new owners because they've been there a few years now, but a new manager, and it's the fans that will be smarting because they've seen their club develop. They've seen them have a good deal of progression and get to the top end of the pyramid, and now they've had to drop down, so it's a little bit sobering for them. But the reality is they're in League One, they've got to adapt to it. And in terms of the game this evening, United have got to go about their game as they have done for the majority of the season, barring that game against Leyton Orient, and just go out there and show what they're about. Don't worry about the opposition. Don't worry in terms of their status, where they've been for the last few years. Go out and play your game and get the 3 points on the board. If you can get yourself a goal early, great. But we were talking earlier about this Reading side. I did actually do a little bit of swatting in between chatting, and 4 of the new signings are in the starting 11 for Reading this season. 2 are youth team products that have made their debuts this season. So there's a lot of players in there that are either not used to playing at this level or still integrating themselves in the side. So that could play into United's hands, but they're just going to go out there and play their own game, and hopefully they can come out on top.
There is a sense where you've got a youthful side, a new look side, a side where they've been unsettled off the field, trying to play, as we heard from Ruben Sellers a few minutes ago, trying to play a high energy, high pressing game. It could be the sort of match that really suits the youth, in that if Reading go out there and try and play that sort of game but don't get it right, well, the youths will be rubbing their hands together.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know how comfortable United are with the kind of display where they do have to sit in a little bit, or they allow the opposition to come onto them a little bit. Bristol Rovers here, it was an absolutely perfect example of Bonnaball, shall we call it that? Where United just sat in there, just picked Bristol Rovers off. Bristol Rovers were poor in front of goal. Every time United went forward, they looked like scoring. They were allowed to just pick Bristol Rovers off, and they played almost a perfect game. And it could be the same this evening in terms of Reading seeing a good majority of the possession, but United have to be ruthless and they have to be good both on and off the ball this evening. So it could be one of those games that suits them. We'll find out.
We can definitely call it Bonnaball, in that you've got the fantastic alliteration. I think Spurs fans have started calling Ange Postecoglou's style of play Ange Ball, which doesn't work anywhere near as well. Having said that, hadn't Robbie Williams rewritten Angels in tribute to Ange Postecoglou? Perhaps when Mark Bonner gets to the point that he's having a Robbie Williams or Take That song rewritten in tribute to him, that's when you know you've really made it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think who perhaps Groove Armada could come up with a remaking of the song and get Mark Bonner's name in there. I don't know. They're from Cambridge, perhaps they'd fancy it, I'm not sure.
Of the many and varied things I've suggested on these programmes over the years, I've rarely, Doug, heard you sound less enthused than my idea of Robbie Williams writing Mark Bonner a song. I'm perhaps getting the vibes here. You're not the biggest Robbie Williams fan?
Not the biggest. He's obviously a very successful artist in his own right and knows how to write a hit single, has done in the past, but it's certainly not a piece of vinyl or a CD that's certainly in my side of the cabinet at home, put it that way.
And Doug does have a lot of vinyl. For Jono, I'm always hesitant about the popular culture references, but this obviously Robbie Williams is the 1990s. Is that okay for you, Jono? Is that still a bit on edge from that point of view?
Yeah, I remember the 1990s. So a couple of years ago, weren't they?
Yeah. For Jono, Robbie Williams is actually still in Take That. Anyway, it doesn't seem as though Mark Bonner will be getting a song written about him by Robbie Williams anytime soon. Worth checking out, by the way, if you haven't heard it. I always thought that Robbie Williams was supposed to be a Port Vale fan, so I don't know what he's doing rewriting his songs in tribute to Ange Postecoglou and to Tottenham. Anyway, 81333 if you'd like to text us here on the programme. We're at BBC Cam Sport, and on WhatsApp we are 08000 321 333, 08000 321 333 with the text, and with WhatsApp, as ever, you need to start your messages CAM, otherwise they can head over to other parts of the BBC. So it's a Monday night, it's BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. The user on the telly, that is why we're playing this game at a slightly unusual time, and because it's the start of the international break, the biggest show in town. No other league football, Premier League football taking place this evening. Cambridge United Reading is where it's at, and hopefully come 10 o'clock we're going to be talking about 3 points on the board for the U's.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sports.
Cambridge United having made an impressive start to the new season in League One, particularly at home. 2 wins from 3, beating Bristol Rovers last time out on their own turf.
Kai will look to slip it in. Okanabere on the turn, just in the area. Okanabere! Oh, what a goal! United in front. 12 minutes before the end.
Fujiri Okanabere opening the scoring against Bristol Rovers. The U's with a 2-0 win. Sudi Kaikai getting the second. Win this evening, and Cambridge United will jump back into the playoff places. Mark Bonner, though, says it's still far too early to be looking at the league table.
It probably takes a bit more time before there's a real continuity in the league and you can really read too much into the results. I think in the early stages, that first 10-12 games is bank as many points as you can, and then as things settle, have a real hit at it when the games start heavy in October, November.
We're across all frequencies here on BBC Radio Cambridge, and 96 FM and 95.7 FM, DAB Digital, and you can listen in via your television as well. Freeview Channel 722 in the company of Doug Shulman and Mark Johnson.
With goalkeeper Jack Stevens injured, Mark Bonner's forced into making one change to the side that lost to Orient 9 days ago, as United host Reading for the first time in over 20 years. While the U's have enjoyed a bright start to the season, just a couple of setbacks, a transfer embargo and a points deduction has cast a cloud over Reading's immediate past. So on this Monday evening, who'll be fair of face and who'll be manic? Kickoffs coming up.
So a strong start to the season for the U's. Can they really rubber stamp it with another win this evening ahead of the international break? We're about to find out. Don't go anywhere.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sports.
So teams are out, the pleasantries being exchanged, and United in amber shirts, black detailing, black shorts and socks, with Will Mannion in goal. A back four of Liam Bennett at right back, Danny Andrew on the left, Ryan Bennett, Michael Morrison in the centre, George Thomas, Paul Digby behind James Brophy, Jack Lancaster and Solly Kaikai, with Ghassan Ahadme leading the line. With Reading, with their absolute visage in various shades of grey, they line up with David Button in goal, a back four of Amadou Mbengwe at right back, Matty Carson on the left, Harley Dean, Nelson Abbey in the centre. Probably 5 across midfield, Femi Aziz wide on the right, Harvey Nibbs on the left, Ben Elliott behind Charlie Savage, Sam Hutchinson in the middle, leading the line, Caelan Vickers. Referee clad in black today is Darren Drysdale. And United subs worth noting as well. James Holden, the keeper, Fajiri Okunabire, Harrison Dunk, Zeno Ibsen Rossi, Elias Kachunga back after being unavailable 9 days ago, Lewis Simper, and John Kimani Gordon is making his first appearance in black and amber after signing on deadline day on loan from Crystal Palace. There's a veritable posse of people in the centre circle being photographed for various purposes, sponsors and the like. Mascots are there as well, as the two captains have finally got together for the toss of the coin. Nelson Abbey appropriately at the Abbey as the Reading skipper, and Michael Morrison for the U's as the dignitaries make their way off the field, and we'll stay the way we're going. United will defend the Newmarket Road end in this first half. And Doug Shulman alongside me. It's quarter of an hour late in terms of what we're used to for an evening kick-off. It's a day early in case of useful for what we're used to, but United will be hoping they can get their evening portion of the season finally up and running.
Yeah, very much so. Last Tuesday evening fixture here, Steve, did an absolutely cracking game, and United put in a decent performance, but a couple of slips and they came away with a 2-1 loss, unfortunately. But they'll be keen as well to get back on track. 9 days since that poor performance and result down at Leyton Orient, and this evening against the Reading side, just finding their feet again in League One, Jono.
The atmosphere electric, the night muggy, and United get underway with the ball all the way back to Mannion. First touch for him, long clearance forward, nodded away by Dean for Reading, into touch for a throw to the U's on this near side, quickly taken, finding Solly Kaikai, who's pushed over. Impetuous challenge into the back of him from Mbengwe, and United with a free kick just on the halfway line, a little further forward on this left hand side. Andrew to take down the line, he's got him behind, looking for Kaikai, who'll try to turn, closed down by a couple, squirms between them, looks to get to the byline and does, pulls it back, far post, not it home, Hughes in front, surely, was that off the line? Cleared off the line. Hassan Ahadme, surely that one across the line. Wish there was television here to confirm it. That looked in to me, Doug Shulman.
Oh yeah, me too. We look at VAR this evening, Jono, but it was a super cross after brilliant work from Soleil Kaikai, and Ghassan Ahadme. It looked to be over the line to me, but linesman obviously in a good position on that far side, in a good place to spot whether it had crept over or not. But United are so close to a dream start.
Yeah, it was inside 45 seconds, but not to be. Did look over the line, but linesman in a much better angle than us, so I suppose we better believe him, hadn't we?
Yes, officials there to do their job, but getting away from a brilliant piece of football from United. A quick free kick. Sully Kaikai lost 3 men in a flash there, didn't he? Worked his way to the byline, and the cross was absolutely perfect for Ahadme.
Hughes with a free kick, which they take sideways inside their own half. Down the line from Andrew, looking for the run of Kaikai again. Defender comes across, and this time conceded out for the goal kick to the neon green David Button. At least he's not, his kit is though.
Yeah, experienced keeper, isn't he, David Button? Many clubs. I won't list them, otherwise we'll be on the verge of half time.
It's the long clearance, and that goes straight through, all the way through to Will Mannion in the U's goal. Blue clad, bowls it out, finds its way to Kaikai, pushed over again on the halfway line, and Mbengwe for the third time in the opening 2 minutes fouls Sully Kaikai.
Well, he's got to be careful already, isn't he? Darren Drysdale will have his card marked. If he's not careful, yellow card will come out for Mbengu.
Will be the free kick then, which Hughes will take, and they'll plant it long. Goes down, works his way down towards that far side where Brophy's latched onto it. Back to Bennett, level the edge of the area, right hand side. Cross whipped in too high, too deep, and out for the goal kick for United, making mischief down the flanks, and Reading at the moment struggling to get to grips with them.
Yeah, that was a nice piece of link-up play, wasn't it, between James Brophy, who I thought initially was going to put the ball in first time with his right foot. Don't think there was quite the options in there for him, and very quickly in support was Liam Bennett.
Just just to confirm, Reading have almost gone 4-4-2 actually. Aziz and Vickers playing up front, and surprisingly Ben Elliott playing wide on the right hand side, narrow wide as it were, as he's playing the widest of the midfielders, but he's in the centre circle at the moment as Reading looking for the ball forward, looking for the run actually of Dean, who'd made a break down the far side. Hughes with numbers back, and Thomas gets it away. Ahadme holds it up in the stretch. Digby gets it forward. Hughes can dig it out. Lovely ball from Digby, almost picking out Bennett, but Reading break it up. Hughes win it back though, and United settling for a throw just on the halfway line. 0-0. Breathless start, Doug Shulman.
Yeah, moving the ball around really quickly, really swiftly, aren't they? United mean business this evening by the looks of it.
Ball back to Ryan Bennett just outside his own penalty area. Goes back to Will Mannion. Reading in their change kit, light grey shirts, darker grey shorts, and even paler grey socks. There's Mannion with the clearance, finds touch.
And apologises straight away as well. It was a little bit sloppy, wasn't it, really, in terms of distribution from Will Mannion. Back in the side, surprisingly, this evening as well.
Of all the things a keeper can do wrong, distribution's probably the least important. Saving the ball is the most important, I suggest. There's Button, who's well out of his goal for Reading, clips it forward, looking for the runner down this near side. Mbengwe is beaten away, but not for long. Aziz gets it back, but there's Digby to snaffle it up on the edge of his own box. Andrew for United chips it long, looking for Ahadme, tries to work it on. There's indecision in the back line, and Abbey was almost caught out at the Abbey. United settling for a throw on this left-hand side, midway inside Reading territory, which they take quickly. Andrew on to Kai, gets it back, little ball back to Thomas, who tidies up and goes back into his own half. 0-0. Hughes had the ball almost in the net, maybe even in the net after 40 seconds, not given. Ball down the line, Hadley looking for the run from Lancaster's pass. He thought he was blocked off, referee thought otherwise. Reading looked to play out from the back. It's 0-0.
Well, it did look like, for me, looked like he was blocked off by Harley Dean. Reading number 6 there, and he looked straight at the referee, did Ghassan Hadme. I think I would be as well.
Let's see, ball on this near side. Kaiko with a foot in, then Danny Andrew with a thunderous challenge, and Reading will have the throw on the halfway line, just over the halfway line. Amadou Mbengwe throws it down the line, nodded away by Morrison for the United. Hasn't cleared his lines yet. Digby gets stuck in, but still it's not away. Pings around the edge of the area. You get it away, and Hadme will trace it out. Abbey wants to go back to his keeper and will do. Button playing for his 18th club, launches it away left-footed over halfway line. Andrew underneath it for United. Get it forward.
Still not going to recite them all.
Please don't. As Elliott looking to thread the eye of the needle, can't do so. United winning it back with Bennett down the line, looking for Brophy down the right-hand side, and he'll get there, level the edge of the area. He's got 2 in the box. Takes a touch, looking to twist and turn. Can he deliver the cross? Hasn't done yet. Now he's got Liam Bennett on the overlap. Still he hangs on to it. Cuts in field. Gets it back towards Danny Andrew. Andrew with a shot, always rising, always over the bar. And in the end, United not incisive on that occasion. There was a chance. Danny Andrew can ping him in from that distance. Not today, at least not on that occasion.
Yeah, he scored plenty of goals with that left peg, certainly, in his days up at Fleetwood, and that lined up nicely for him there. Actually, he'll be disappointed that he couldn't keep that below the bar and at least work the keeper, but good possession football from United, in particular James Brophy just kept cutting in from that right hand side. He likes to do that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's natural for it. It's the inverse winger syndrome again, isn't it? With the ball down the line, Brophy's got defending to do. Ball pinged forward towards the edge of the area. United smuggle it away, and it comes last off a Reading man for a throw to United midway inside their own half, in front of the Habin stand, which looks fairly full again tonight. And the ball goes back towards Liam Bennett, who plays it over the top. Ahadme was offside, won't chase it as the ball goes out for the throw to Reading deep in their own half. First appearance here for Reading since 2002 in the League Cup.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Just a measure of the distance in terms of divisions between the two sides for a number of years.
There's the ball back with Button. He'll be closed down by Ahadme, but can get it away to Dean just outside his area. He'll look to bring it away and send it wide to Mbengwe, who was off the field when he received the ball. And it will be a throw into Cambridge United.
Credit to Ghassan Hadmi, actually. He did it on the ball there, Harley Dean, and in a flash, Ghassan Hadmi was closing him down. He's forced to play the ball in the end a little bit too quickly and too much pace and out of play, not enough angle. And well done, Ghassan Hadmi, for providing distraction, shall we say.
It's a good tempo from United as well as they play it out towards Andrew on the left-hand side. But he's been corralled and runs into trouble and loses the ball. And Aziz comes away with it. Looks back in field towards Elliott. Elliott just outside the area. Been forced back in field. In towards the edge of the area. And then the shot comes in. Takes a big deflection. And it was Elliott with a shot. Took a deflection. Mannion was going to his right. And the ball went past his left post. And Hughes were a little fortunate there.
He was a bit congested inside that 18-yard box all of a sudden, and deflection saved United, I think.
Corner, left-footed in swinging, everyone back for the Hughes. It's taken short, and it'll come back and then whipped in deep towards the far post. Heads go up, Hughes get it half away, and they look to break with Thomas. Thomas looking to play it across. Lovely first-time ball from Lancaster to Brophy, who couldn't take it in his stride, but as he tried to play it back to Thomas, who continued his run, couldn't find him. But Brophy just couldn't quite take the pass from Lancaster in his stride.
No, just a little bit off balance, leaning back a little bit, and he just couldn't get the purchase on the ball that he wanted. But just goes to show, doesn't it? United on the counter, they've got some decent pace, haven't they?
Frightening at times, isn't it? It is still 0-0, 11th minute. As Reading play the ball wide towards that far side, nodded on and out. The Hughes will have the throw midway inside their own half. So under a beautiful orange sunset, it's painted the sky tonight as the ball played back in field, and Lancaster did well to keep play going for United as it's wide towards the left-hand side. Kai with the ball with the outside of the foot down the line. Defender across. Hughes with the throw. Thomas is a long way forward, takes it. Looking for a Hadme, who's closed down and pushed by two, but he settles for the throw. United's tempo is breathtaking at the moment. There's a ball back towards Thomas. Thomas finding Digby 10 yards outside the area. Cross to Bennett on the right-hand side. Closed down by Nibbs. He'll look to try and manufacture something. Has to go back. Ball over the top, looking for the run of Brophy this time, who's got him behind. Defender comes across. Brophy couldn't quite, did actually just about manage to get the cross in, but no power or purchase on that cross. Marked well, just about, by Matty Carson.
Yeah, I think it almost took Ghassan Hadmi by surprise, because he wrapped his right foot around that James Brophy while he was leaning backwards, almost falling over, and I don't think Ghassan Hadmi expected him to get it into the box, and he couldn't quite react quickly enough. But they look sharp in the final third this evening, the Hughes.
They do. I didn't expect him to get the ball across either, but he did, as Nelson Abbey comes away with the ball and plays it forward, looking for the run of Nibbs, and finding only Ryan Bennett, who can calm everything down and allow the ball to run out for the goal kick. It's 0-0, 12 minutes in.
I think just for a moment Ryan Bennett expected Will Manning to come and collect that one, but there was enough legs on it to see it out of play. No danger in the end. Just that one issue for United to have to deal with in terms of the shot. We think it was from Ben Elliott, the Reading number 4, that was deflected away in the end for that corner, which came to nothing, thankfully.
As long ball forward, nodded on by Brophy, but into touch for a throw to Reading, which they take quickly as a real... There's two sides playing here as if they're double parked, aren't they? It really is going at it very quickly today.
Yeah, you want to put a show on for the TV cameras, don't they, of course.
As the ball slipped on, and Elliott's got away from Thomas really well, and he'll continue his run. He's just been held in check by Digby just for a moment, but he looked to spray it wide towards Mbengwe on this right-hand side. Deep cross into the area and into the hands of Mannion, who gathers it, just bounces it on the ground almost, and then pounces back on it. Convincing enough in his blue shirt.
Yeah, first chance we've seen Amadou Mbengu get away down that right-hand side. He'll be the overlap, the width on that right-hand side. Summer signing from Metz in France last summer.
As Reading trying to clear their lines and force the ball out for another throw to United on the left-hand side. which Danny Andrew would take, and he'll go back to Michael Morrison inside his own half, using amber and black from right to left, finding a packed Newmarket Road end in this first half, as Mannion will launch it forward. Nearly kicked himself off his feet with that one. Ahadme nudged his man in the back and concedes a free kick. And Bengwe made sure the referee spotted it, and free kick was taken before he was back on his feet.
Yeah, he's been involved in 1 or 2 battles already, hasn't he, Bengwe? A couple with Sully Kai as well, giving away free kicks.
Long clearance forward, Aziz in a chase, but across comes Ryan Bennett to measure a clearance into the back of the Havin stand. Quickly taken. Aziz will look to try and take on his man, but there's Liam Bennett, who cuts across him, flicks it off the Reading man's toe and wins the goal kick.
And he's done really well there, hasn't he, Liam Bennett? Once and again, a bundle of energy. 40th appearance for the U's. He's racked that up pretty quickly, hasn't he?
Yeah, don't know where the time goes. Sure, there's shortcuts in some months. As Mannion with a clearance, launching it away over halfway on a humid night. Ball cuts through the air and bounces into touch for a throw to Reading midway inside their own half. They take that quickly. Two sides not hanging about. And so play it between the two centre halves and nearly get themselves in a bit of a tangle. As it comes across towards the left-hand side. Hutchinson will pick it up. He's sitting between the two centre halves as he plays it long, looking for Mbengwe, who picks it up and looks to run into Danny Andrew, throws himself to the ground. Play continues as Elliott picks it up for Reading. Savage gets it back to Mbengwe, looks to return pass. He goes on the overlaps, drifting in field, comes back towards Hutchinson, who looks to be forced all the way back. Goes back into his own half, and the keeper has to receive the ball.
Yeah, Charlie Savage, son of Robbie, charged with just mopping things up there for Reading.
Carson looking to attack down the far side. He's clear, and they've cleared upfield towards Lancaster over the halfway line. Down that far side, no support for him. In the end, he was dispossessed, and Reading come away with it down the left-hand side, looking for the run. Also Z's on the edge of the area. United with numbers back, and a brilliant turn from Liam Bennett. And all Harvey Nibbs could do was bring him down. It was such a great turn. Bennett was turned and Nibbs was halfway down Newmarket Road looking for him.
Oh, he's so light on his feet, like a ballet dancer, isn't he, sometimes? This young Liam Bennett, and foul giving away by Harvey Nibbs. Those two will know each other well. Played in that side that escaped relegation by, I don't know about narrowly, it was paper thin, wasn't it? Cigarette paper thin in the end.
Comfortable enough.
You can say that now, can't
we?
In
hindsight, yeah. As Hughes looking to snaffle up the ball in Reading territory. Thomas has done brilliantly. He almost embarrassed a couple of Reading midfielders. Elliott was one of them. Lost possession in the end, 15-20 yards outside the area. Thomas wins a free kick. He was just too quick of feet and thought.
Yeah, it was a bit of all in wrestling just for a moment. There was 2 or 3 Reading players pretty much on top of him for a moment there, but it did look like, for me, he just lost his footing a little bit, but enough in it for the referee.
Free kick's 15 yards outside the area. It's right of centre. George Thomas stands over it. Line of players on the edge of the box. Morrison looking to make a run from deep. Peels away now, then the cross will go deep for Morrison, who won't quite keep it in. And back to the drawing board for that one as the ball goes out for the goal kick. It's 0-0.
Yeah, really disappointing actually. You get yourself a set piece like that, you just want to make the most of it, get it in the mixer, get players attacking the ball, but way too much weight on it, and they must do better in those kind of situations. Michael Morrison tried to keep the ball in. Former Reading man, of course, Michael Morrison, 8 goals in 113 appearances while plying his trade in Berkshire.
Button takes the goal kick short and finds Abbey, and he'll look to play upfield. Hutchinson goes back to Abbey, midway inside Reading territory. Now Reading in possession, spray it across towards Harley Dean on this right hand side. He'll be closed down by Ahadme, but can play it long, looking for the flick on, looking for Nibbs. Liam Bennett comes across, gets there first, looks to turns once and twice, and then launches it upfield. Big push into the back of Lancaster, concedes another free kick. 5 yards over inside United territory, and it's 0-0. Reading just desperate to avoid United counter-attacking on them.
Liam Bennett single-handedly ensuring that Harvey Nibbs doesn't enjoy his return to the Abbey. Again, turned him inside out.
There's the ball played across to Danny Andrew, down the line to Solly Kai, who's clattered over by Mbengwe. No free kick, as Elliott plays it looking for Aziz and finding only the ball boy. And that goes out for the goal kick. Dreadfully overhit. But Mbengwe's cutting a frustrated figure at right back, and may have just left his foot in on.
Possibly. He tried to be a bit too clever, Solly Kai. Tried the little back heel, and it looked like he just got his feet into a bit of a tangle, and perhaps there was a little bit of a mild foul in there from Mbengu. Him and Solly Kai just shake hands for a moment, actually. 6 of one half and a dozen of the other, perhaps, on that occasion.
Blood red sunset still dipping behind the Havin stand as the long clearance forward, nodded away by the Reading defence. It will come back. Kai will chase, can't get there. Second attempt, Digby gets it forward. Ahadme in a wrestling match, just been beaten away, but United nearly nicked it back just outside the Reading area. In the end they couldn't, and it's larruped anywhere by the Reading defence, and it finds touch just inside United territory. Anywhere will do at the moment.
Yeah, United winning all those midfield battles at the moment. Snapping away at the ankles of anyone in a grey shirt out there at the moment.
Might have scored after 40 seconds, but didn't. And it is still 0-0. United very much on top, 20 minutes in.
Yeah, I'd still like to see that one again. I'm not convinced it didn't go over the line,
I'm convinced it did, but that doesn't matter, does it? Because it's not given. Reading play the ball along the back line, and Dean goes out wide to Mbengwe, who turns and looks to dance down this near side, brushed over by Kai. That will be a free kick. There was a little bit of contact. Mbengwe went to ground.
It's almost like a contest within a contest, isn't it? Kai and Mbengu at the moment.
And the free kick will have to come back to about 8 yards outside the area, perhaps 5 in from this right touchline. Savage stands over it. Hutchinson as well. Two-man wall has been constructed. Savage walks away. Hutchinson could tap it to him if he wants. The Savage is in acres of space. The wall is now disintegrated as Hutchinson delivers it deep, far post, looking for the head of Nibbs amongst others. Just loops it into the hands of the keeper, and that was easy meat for Mannion. He gathers it with ease and aplomb and bowls it out in an instant towards Danny Andrew on this near side. First time ball, that's picked off. Could have been picked off by 2. In the end, Hutchinson finds Elliott. Elliott will strive forward, looking to twist and turn and go wide towards the right hand side. Back it'll come to Mbengwe. He'll look for the return pass and he'll get it as well. Looking to take on Kai. Cross whipped in off the chest of Digby. Hughes try and clear, and Aziz pushes into the back of Morrison. And concedes the free kick. Morrison to his feet very quickly. And United will have the free kick and the clearance anyway. It is still 0-0. Approaching the midway point of this first half here on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. I'm Mark Johnson, Doug Shulman alongside on a Monday night.
Yeah, sounds a bit strange, that. Monday night game. It's a game for all days of the week these days, isn't it, really?
It is. You used to be able to pin dates on your calendar. There's a long ball forward, spins off a couple of heads, and then off Ahadme for a throw to Reading, 10 yards inside the United half. And Mbengwe nicks a yard or two and throws it backwards. And Reading in all grey of various shades, coming away with the ball deep in their own half.
Yeah, enjoying a bit more possession at the moment, certainly in the central areas, playing it along the back as well. Reading just trying to exert a little bit more control after it was a really quick fire start from the U's, wasn't it?
Well, they had no control at all to start with. There's Button in control, in possession, rolls it up to Dean inside his own half, looking for the long ball forward, looking for the run of Aziz, nodded away by Morrison for United, and Mbengwe gets it back. Morrison with a second header away, awkwardly back by Hutchinson. Hughes will chase it and settle for the throw over the halfway line. Dean thought about a pass back to his keeper, but Lancaster was there, ready to bomb onto it. In the end, the throw was decided.
And as was Ahadme as well. Quick thinking from the defender there.
Hughes with a throw. Andrew down towards Ahadme, who's beaten away. Elliott looking to get away. Nice turn by him to get away from Jack Lancaster. He'll spin away and then gives it away. Danny Andrew picks it up inside his own half. Digby switches the play towards the right-hand side. Nice touch from Liam Bennett. He's got Brophy in front of him. Ahadme on the edge of the area. Lancaster arriving as well, but he dances back in field, looking to roll it to Andrew. Andrew can go wide to Kai. Corner of the box, left-hand side does. Looks to take on Mbengwe. Rolls it back. Thomas with a little hook cross. Looking to play in Lancaster, Ahadme, or maybe even Brophy, but just overhit it. And the ball runs out for the goal kick. 0-0, 24 minutes in.
Now, the ball was played initially, wasn't it, across the area to Danny Andrews. Took up a similar position to that which he did about 10 minutes ago, but he blazed it over the bar, and you were waiting for him to pull the trigger, but Kai was the option out on the left-hand side. But, yeah, just couldn't quite find that killer pass then. I think you're right. George Thomas was looking for James Brophy. He had picked up a position on the right-hand side of the box, but yeah, just not quite the purchase on it that George Thomas wanted on that occasion. But promising again from the Hughes, John Oak.
A trio of Hughes subs go to warm up. As Reading in possession wide on their left-hand side. But, running out of pitch. As United will have the throw on the halfway line. As they attack from right to left. Almost took the lead inside 40 seconds. Hadmay's header from Kai's cross. Did it cross the line? Referee linesman thought no. And it's the view that matters. Ball forward to Brophy, who can't control. And Reading will have a throw inside their half.
Yeah, the last league game here back in March 2002, United made a quick start that day as well. Went 2-0 up very swiftly with Dave Kitson and Tom Youngs. Had a chance to make it 3. Tom Youngs missed a penalty. 1 of 8 United missed that season.
As the ball over the top, Ahadme would chase. Button collects just inside his area and bowls it out in an instant. 26 minutes in, Hughes 0, Reading 0. As Hutchinson has to go back to his keeper. Lancaster and Ahadme in hot pursuit. This is a night where you feel subs will come into it. As the ball works on to Aziz. Nibbs tries to force his way through, can't do so. United almost broke, but Brophy couldn't quite bring the ball under his spell and take it in his stride. Nibbs away on the left-hand side, held in check by Brophy. He'll come back to Carson on that far side. The left-hand side, looking to roll it forward. Thomas, though, with a good challenge to win the ball back for United. Rolls it onto Kai, surrounded by 3. He's got away from 1, but not from the second. In the end, Reading come away with the ball on their left-hand side, go all the way back to the keeper. There's Caelan Vickers, one of the 2 strikers, back, getting the ball back to his keeper.
He never felt that Sully Kai quite had that one under control. He looked to release the ball quickly, but all of a sudden 3 Reading players around him, and it all broke down rather swiftly, really.
There's Dean in possession on the right-hand side. He'll charge forward and runs into Kai. Left his foot in on Kai, and the referee says hadn't spotted it. Well, that was nasty from Dean. The ball got away from him. He left his foot in on Sully Kai, and Dean now goes into the book. I think the referee got the shout from his linesman.
I think you're right. I don't think the referee spotted that at all. The 4th official was, what's he, 3 yards away? 2.5 yards? Right on the touchline. Barry Corr and Mark Bonner got a good view of it and, well, made their feelings known very, very quickly.
That was good teamwork from the officials. The system worked as it should.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to say assisted by Mark Bonner and Barry Corr.
Well, yeah, that's how it should work in my book.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, but right in front, it was a horrible lunge, and Sully Kai's actually done well to get up from that as quickly as he has done. He's wincing a little bit and hobbling.
So was I. There's Thomas with the quick free kick. Ahadme chests it down. There's, I was going to say no one there, but James Brophy appeared like the shopkeeper in Mr. Ben, as if from nowhere, and won it and played a lovely reverse pass, looking for Kai, who can't quite get there. Button off his line quickly to nail that one down and bowl it out towards the left-hand side, and Reading come forward, looking for the ball towards Aziz, who's got in behind Bennett, across the face of goal, which couldn't find Vickers. And Danny Andrew will complete the clearance over halfway. It goes completely missed by Dean. Ahadme will chase, but Abbey's there to get it back to his keeper. Harley Dean, complete air kick then, which is not ideal if you're a defender. as Reading panic it upfield and United back in possession.
No, he was quite lucky actually. There was a man behind him as well. Otherwise, Ghassan Hadmi would have raced onto that. But yeah, one of those ones just happens on occasion, doesn't it? And becomes more glaring when you're a defender as well.
Yeah. Mannion with a clearance for the U's. Dean just about beats a Hadmay away. And as Thomas looks to win it back, the ball reared up and he used his hand to control. And Reading get the free kick. 29 minutes in, goalless, free kick taken quickly towards Matty Carson on the left-hand side. He's got plenty in the area, delivers it in out towards Vickers, who couldn't quite stretch to get there. You should be able to get it away. Danny Andrews does, but that is blocked and hits onto the roof of the Newmarket Road stand and out for a goal kick. 0-0, but a very lively 0-0.
Yeah, it's lively.
Barely time to draw breath in this one.
Yeah, it's been fast-paced, but both sides just lacking that little bit of quality in front of goal at the moment, which is the key thing. And the crowd being lifted. Really good atmosphere here. Another really decent crowd. Close, I would say, if not over 7,000 this evening.
Feels like it, doesn't it? As United concede possession inside Reading territory, and here comes Aziz looking to slip in his man down that far side. It's Nibs into the box and Bennett with the last half chance. Aziz with a shot, spins loose. Mannion gets there once and twice. It's off and it's cleared away by United. Somehow smuggled clear. Mannion celebrates in front of the Newmarket Road end for somehow making a brilliant save in all of that. Reading had 3 chances to put it in. And a combination of Will Mannion, Liam Bennett and dumb luck, United got away with it.
Well, everyone involved there, really good collective defending, wasn't it? Will Mannion with the save. I'm not sure who got the final block in, but that was good collective work from United on that occasion. Harvey Nibs just waited to pull the trigger. I think he just hesitated a little bit too much. It just gave United that fraction of a second to get back in numbers.
And that was a big let-off for the U's, half an hour gone. It's woken the visiting crowd fans up as U's getting the ball back towards Mannion, who really relished that save. You can see him celebrate in front of the Newmarket Road end as Hadmay gets the ball back towards Kai, who marauded down the left-hand side, looking to take on Mbengwe. In towards the edge of the area, cross blocked. Mbengwe did his job. Nibs on defensive duty, up against Digby. And under a bit of pressure, Nibs goes to ground in his own penalty area. And Reading get the free kick.
Yeah, it certainly lifted the Reading fans, didn't it? That opportunity, double opportunity. The fans away to it. I think a few of them were coming late, actually. There was about 50 odd seats spare towards the end of that south stand. They're now being occupied. Well, certainly a good number of them anyway.
It's 0-0, 32 minutes in on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire on a Monday night. An 8 o'clock kickoff if you're wondering why things are running a little bit later than usual. As Kai wins a header on the halfway line onto Hadmay midway inside the Reading half, turns. We wanted Kai to make a run on the left-hand side. He didn't, but he did get the ball. Andrew on the overlap, that's the decoy. Ball into the box towards Thomas. Thomas to the byline, goes for the far post and didn't quite pick out his man. He got Brophy arriving behind the keeper, but Button just about able to climb high enough and hang on. And that was a chance for United. As the ball long from Reading, Aziz would chase, defender across. And Michael Morrison's done well to get it back to Danny Andrew, who'll play it forward again. It's like 2 boxers have just taken breath, and here we go again. As United looking to break, and it's run to Brophy on the right-hand side, cross into the area. Hadmay takes it on his chest, chests it down, trying to work it on. Couldn't quite do so. Digby couldn't quite thread the eye of the needle, but he'll get it again inside Reading territory and turn and go wide to Liam Bennett on the right-hand side. He's got Brophy for company inside to Jack Lancaster. Lancaster thought about the shot, then rolls it across to Danny Andrews. Got Kai to his left, corner of the box. Will look to run at the defender once more. Cross whipped in low and hooked away by Savage for Reading, only as far as Danny Andrew controls well. Aziz arrived. Hughes can't quite keep it in, but they will settle for the throw, which I don't think Kai believed was going to be his.
No, I don't. He's been ordered to take the throw again as well as Danny Andrew, but tricky to keep up with this one, Jono, isn't it?
Yeah, Kai tried to not let it run, as if thinking it came off a United foot last and was surprised to get the throw. Now he's got the ball, level the edge of the area, up against two, looking to turn, and in the end 2 defenders are enough to force the ball out. It squirms away for a throw close to the corner flag. 34 minutes gone, and this feels like a cup tie. It's 0-0.
Yeah, fairly congested in that final third at times for the U's.
Kai back to Andrew, looking to deliver the cross, blocked away. Another throw to United. Is that corner? I think it's a corner this time, as George Thomas comes across to take the corner.
There's plenty coming up in numbers as well. Michael Morris and Ryan Bennett up from the back as well to join the party, Jono.
Right-footed in swinging, front of the Reading fans. The south end of the ground. Players making their runs now. Deep, looking for the flick. Comes off a Reading head towards Bennett. Bennett with a top, takes a deflection and goes away and out for the corner. It came off Aziz, and that shot from Bennett was goal-bound.
It was. Well, we talked about his 40 appearances that he's racked up now, Liam Bennett. Not a goal to his name yet. It's coming. And you know it's not going to be a tap-in, Jono.
Corner again. Thomas again, right foot. In fact, it's delivered by Lancaster, left-footed towards the far post, loops back across, kept in really well by Morrison. Bennett gets it back towards Danny Andrew. Andrew, deep cross into the mix once more with a queuing up, half cleared. Kai can't get there. Lancaster, Digby can, and Lancaster's there as well, looking for the turn, edge of the box. Michael Morrison with a mazy run, looks to get to the byline and forces another corner. Well, Michael Morrison, he was playing like he was Sully Kai for a minute there. A mazy run, twinkle toes, delivered the cross and wins the corner.
Well, about 3 times he nearly fell over, didn't he, Michael Morrison? Great balance to stay on his feet and not only beat his man but win the corner as well. Brilliant stuff from United.
Corner, Danny Andrew to take, left-footed out swinging, delivers it deep towards that far post where they're queuing up again, and it's forced just inside the side netting, and it came off a Hadmay last, wrong side of the post. Just for a minute Hughes fans thought that was in. There was a gaggle of players at that far post. Hadmay got his head to it and just hit the outside netting.
Just for a moment I thought it was in as well. It looked like he was unmarked at that back post, and it was an easy task for him to nod it in, but United getting closer here. Really good spell they're going through at the moment. Chances for George Thomas, chance for Liam Bennett as well, but they have to make one of them count at some point. But some super eye-catching football being played by the U's here.
Yeah, there's Dean for Reading, turns away from a Hadmay, goes back to his keeper, takes a big deep breath. I have to say, I'm not sure I signed up for this, you know. Plays it across towards the left-hand side. Carson in field. Hutchinson will spray it long, looking for the run, finding only the head of Liam Bennett, who puts it into touch for a throw to Reading, midway inside United territory, left-hand side. Reading in grey from left to right. Nelson Abbey plays it across towards Dean, who'll stride forward purposefully, looks for Aziz, who gets it back, ball chipped into the area, headed away awkwardly by United defence. Thomas brings it down brilliantly and then looks to spring a Hadmay away. Keeper comes a long way out of his goal to clear the ball over the roof of the Having stand. He was only about 5 yards shy of the half of the penalty of the centre circle. He thought when he got there, and he needed to as well, because Hadmay would have been away.
Yeah, it was a solid clear. I think it's not only cleared the Having stand, I think it's cleared Coldham's Common and ended up in the retail park, that one.
It's United in possession with a hurried hooked pass from Digby, which finds only the 4th official. And as I suspect, he wasn't aiming for him.
No, not one of his finest on that occasion, Paul Digby. Got his foot a little bit too much around that one.
8 minutes to the break, 0-0. But a breathless 0-0. As Mbengwe nicks a yard or 10, the referee says, come on, that's enough, back you go. And he does indeed. Goes back half the distance, then throws it backwards. Why do players always steal yards and then throw it backwards?
Bit of a strange one of life's mysteries, John.
There's a really logical reason.
Probably isn't.
Perhaps you ought to talk about that with Pete one Monday night when there's not a match on.
I'm sure we can use the full hour, but
Dean gets it back to Button, who again is wandering way upfield. His neon green shirt, and gets the ball back once more. He'll look to launch it forward, shipping it, looking for the run down that right-hand side. Liam Bennett will look at the ball and persuade it out for the throw to Cambridge United, level with the edge of their own penalty area. Goalless at the Abbey.
He read it well, didn't he, Liam Bennett? Really impressed with United all over the park. They seem to have got that poor performance at Leyton Orient out of their systems. I know they haven't added a goal as yet, but I just think they've got that extra bite in midfield that we've saw from the opening few games, including the game down at Sutton with so many changes. And Gassana had been really well supported. They're playing the ball in through the lines and using the flanks well at the moment they use as well.
Ryan Bennett with a clearance that pings against some body part of Aziz, and it goes out for a throw to United. A suggestion that came off a hand, but Darren Drysdale, referee, had a good old look and said no, throw only. Bennett takes it down the line. Hadmay works it on. There's a chase down the far side, which Lancaster will not win. The ball goes back to the keeper once more. Hadmay closes him down. Lancaster pursues Abbey. It is worked wide towards the left-hand side. Brophy makes sure they don't go too far. Now it's played forward, and that's hurriedly overhit. And Will Mannion, the Hughes Guardian, can come and collect it just inside his own area.
They played hurriedly because United put them under pressure, and they were playing it along the back line, and lucky not to get caught out really, but just that pressure from United forced them to play the ball forward quickly.
This time Andrew and Kaika on a different page, and Bengwe seizes on it, gives it away, and Digby plays the ball over the top looking for Hadmay, but that's overhit by about 5 yards and rolls into the hands of the keeper.
Yeah, looking for that quick ball forward, but a little bit too quick at times, or certainly overhit. We've seen that 2 or 3 times.
As Reading now try to play it and look for Mbengwe, controls well, then throws himself to the ground and gets a free kick on the edge of the area. Not convinced, but referee is, and that's all that matters.
Was he indicating that was a handball in there? I'm sure he was pointing at his hand, the referee.
Okay. Michael Morrison's not convinced.
Neither am I, but
it's a free kick. It's on the cusp of the penalty area, about a yard in from the right corner.
I think actually he's given the foul. What he was actually pointing to was his whistle, as in when I'm ready.
That would make sense, but there we are. Savage stands over the ball. There's a 3-man wall positioned, favours the angle for the left boot of Savage. 3 men in the wall, a Reading man dancing about in front of them. Don't know that he's allowed to stand exactly there. Now he's persuaded the requisite distance away. Savage will hit this one left-footed, in front of the Newmarket Road end. He looks to curl it and hits it into the wall. Back it comes, far post. Mannion comes and gathers it, climbing the ladder to hang on well.
Wall did its job brilliantly there. Just cutting out that cross. And the free kick, I should say, into the box from the boot of Charlie Savage. As well defended by United on that occasion.
3 minutes to the break. It's Cambridge United 0, Reading 0 on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. Long ball for Dean, just got his head to it, works it onto Nibbs, who turns and tries to thread it through. Morrison reads it well and then turns and goes back to Danny Andrew, looks to ship it down the line, looking for and finding Kaikai, controls nicely, dances in field, looking for Digby. Digby's got Bennett on the overlap and finds him. Bennett looks to play it down towards Brofield, turn, edge of the box, weighs his way and fires it just wide of the near post. Brilliant turn from James Brophy, low drive. Keeper probably had it covered. It was about a foot wide of the near post. Another chance for United, who are playing well, but still 0-0.
Yeah, it was so close, wasn't it, from James Brophy? Did all the hard work, found himself in the box, a really decent angle, but just a yard or so wide. 99 games since he scored in a United shirt in a competitive game, Jono.
Now would be an apposite moment.
It'd be rather apt and timely, wouldn't it?
Reading with the ball over the top, but that's met well by Danny Andrew, who turns away from Vickers and goes back to his keeper, and Mannion will clear it right-footed over halfway. Hadmay won't get there, Kaikai neither, and the ball bounces into touch for a throw to Reading, midway inside the Hughes half. Bengwe wants to go for a stroll with the ball. Referee doesn't want him to, but he does anyway. And down the line it goes. Hughes try and crowd out Vickers, but Elliott then runs onto the ball and wins another throw. Midway inside the Hughes half, quickly taken to Aziz. Aziz has got Nibs in the box, looking to turn, runs into a good challenge. Morrison gets it half away. Hutchinson tries to nod it back. Andrew does really well to get it forward to Kai, who's caught in possession, edge of the area. He'll come loose once more. Aziz tries to turn, looking to roll it back towards Savage. Savage will go across towards Carson. Carson launches it into the area towards that far post. Overhead kick missed in the middle. Kai launches it away and Hadmay gets a push. Hughes playing on as Lancaster finds Brophy on the right. Bennett joins the attack. Ball forward, looking for the run. Lancaster doesn't find him. Defender gets there and comes away with it, but gives it away. And here comes Brophy again, bundled over. No free kick. All cleared upfield, held up well by Finn Aziz, looking for a bit of support, looking to burst past this near side. Digby holds him up for a moment. He's got Mbengwe on the overlap down the near side. Last minute of normal time approaching. 0-0. Back will go to Hutchinson. Hooks it deep into the area. Nodded away by Ryan Bennett for the Hughes. And Liam of that ilk will pick it up on the right hand side from Brophy. Hughes clearing their lines, but haven't cleared it too far yet.
Yeah, trying to finish the half strongly, but a super bit of play from Paul Digby, just holding up his man as he was advancing towards the 18-yard area. It was Femi Aziz just allowed once again United to get one or two players back and snuff out the danger.
That's forward towards Aziz, looking for Elliott, who was fouling his man on the edge of the box, and Hughes get the free kick, much to the chagrin of Ruben Sellis, the Reading manager. It is, as we're approaching the last 10 seconds of normal time. Cambridge United 0, Reading 0, somehow.
Yeah, it's been breathtaking at times, but just that little bit of quality in front of goal has been lacking from...
2 minutes will be added, a minimum thereof.
Yeah, both sides in this first half. United, I would say, perhaps just shaded it in terms of quality, but without the goal to show for it, unfortunately.
Reminds me a little of Bristol Rovers. As Hughes getting the ball forward, hooked away by Reading. United with the throw on the right hand side. Well, United had the better of the first half, didn't force home their advantage, and we were getting a bit worried.
We were, but the substitutes obviously played a huge part, and
this will be a night for subs, won't it, you feel? A hot and sticky night at the Abbey as Thomas gets the ball forward. Lancaster brings it down well on his chest, gets Kai away, couldn't quite take it in his stride on this left hand side. Thomas gets it back to Danny Andrew, ball down the line to Kai, who turns in an instant, looking to run at 2. Can he deliver the cross? Twists and turns back and wins the corner into the second of the 2 minutes to be added, and Danny Andrew comes across to take.
He's had a really good half of football, hasn't he, Solly Kai? It's his second league start since returning to the Hughes after a good number of years away, but he's been a menace down that left-hand side, hasn't he, John Oak?
He has. Andrew with the corner, left-footed out swinging. Players at far post makes their runs now, and it comes and nodded away emphatically, only as far as Liam Bennett, who curls it back into the box looking for the flick. Didn't quite happen. Awkward head back almost into his own area by one of the Reading defenders, but they will get it away. They'll look to play it long, but Liam Bennett brilliantly on halfway brings it down and gets Danny Andrew away on the left-hand side. He looked to play it down the line to Hadmay, turning, looking to turn level with the edge of the area against one, but not the second. It'll come back towards Paul Digby. Digby rolls it across to Liam Bennett now on that right hand side, delivers across into the area. Hadmay climbs, nods it down towards Lancaster on the turn, takes it past one and then fires it over the bar. Lovely turn from Jack Lancaster, but couldn't keep his shot down, and that marks the end of an entertaining first half, lacking only a goal United might have had inside 40 seconds when a Hadmay's header from close range was deemed not to have crossed the line. We need to get the replays for that, but it looked fairly adjacent from up here. So United have played well. Kaikai's been a threat down the flanks, but Reading have been a threat on the counter occasionally, and Will Mannion, the United keeper, really needed to make a very smart save to deny Harvey Nibbs on the half hour. Hughes have had more efforts, much more efforts, and they look the better side, but at the break it's still Cambridge United 0, Reading 0.
And Jono, as you say, Will Mannion earning his corn with a brilliant double save. Jack Stephens, of course, out of the side owing to injury. We'll get further details on that later in the programme. But brilliant for Will as a proper confidence booster in that first half.
Absolutely right. And I'll tell you what, the way he celebrated it.
So we'll be back over to the Abbey Stadium with Jono and with Doug in just a second. But some of your thoughts via the text, the tweets, the WhatsApp messages. This one from Liam, who says, poor half. In my opinion, very few chances. Arguably the U's playing the better football. Will Mannion, though, needed to make a couple of big saves. Adam says U's definitely the better team, but we've needed Will Mannion to keep us in the game. At times in attacking areas we've been a little too pedestrian. Thank you for that one. Derek says Danny Andrew worries me. He's got too many mistakes in him and he looks likely to get caught out of possession and position. We've had some chances in this half. George Thomas won't want to see that missed header at the far post again. A slip at the back for a midfield runner is our biggest threat. Winnable game though, says Derek. And Neil in Cambridge says plenty of endeavour from the U's but very little end product. James Brophy's passing and shooting is poor. Jack Lancaster isn't producing enough. For all of the recent criticism, Danny Andrew, which has been justified, has at least a decent corner in him. The front four need to link better. We saw that earlier in the season. So keep the messages heading into us. Let's make our way back over to the Abbey Stadium. Doug Shulman, almost the perfect start with Hadmi's header, and it took time for Reading to recover from that. They then grew into the game, but the U's finishing the half strongly.
Yeah, it was a quick-fire start, wasn't it? And Jono and I said through commentary that, we weren't convinced it didn't go in, but, we're hearing one or two reports from people that are watching it on the telly box, and they're saying that it didn't quite cross the line. But United didn't let it affect them. It affected Reading more because they were so on the back foot, and it took them a little while, as you say, Paddy, to recover. But I was really impressed with United in terms of their build-up play. They've been snapping away at the ankles of the Reading backline. Have won a lot of the battles in midfield, but as a number of the texters said there, it was all just about that final touch, that killer pass to put them ahead. And I think if United had gone in with the advantage, I don't think anyone could have complained. They would have fully deserved it. But some super football in the build-up though.
In some respects, a perfect setup for the U's in that Reading have looked to hold the ball, but they've been a bit tentative. The opportunities have been there on the break, but as you say, the final ball just hasn't quite been there.
Yeah, that's right, and it is kind of almost the perfect game for United, really. We said before, didn't we, that Reading are not going to come here and just defend. They'll look to get on the front foot. They've got quality in the squad to try and break this United side down, but it's allowed United to attack with real pace, and there has been a number of opportunities. He obviously talks about the Ghazana Hadmi header after 40 odd seconds, but there was the chance from Danny Andrews, which he blows over the bar. Good angle, good chance to work the keeper from that kind of distance. The shot from Liam Bennett is deflected wide. The header from George Thomas, the James Brophy chance, which was probably one of the biggest they had just before the break, and it's been 99 games since he scored, but that was a real glaring one. He should have at least worked the keeper from the kind of position he put himself in. So just that little bit of homework United have got to do, and they'll be speaking about that certainly at half-time.
Lovely little subplot, Doug, involving Harvey Nibbs and Liam Bennett.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, Liam Bennett, as he's having one of those games where he just can't put a foot wrong. He's getting forward well. He's getting his shots away, as we mentioned just a few seconds ago. But defensively, I mean, a couple of times he's not quite left Harvey Nibbs on his backside, but he's turned Harvey Nibbs inside out and just really thrilled the crowd. The crowd are cheering every time he gets the ball, every time he plays it upfield or he manages to work it away from defence. He's having a super game. But yeah, Harvey Nibbs actually was very close to scoring on one occasion, but a brilliant piece of collective defending from United denied him.
We just need a repeat of Bristol Rovers, really. I guess that's an obvious thing to
nice.
say. Yeah, 2-0 win. That'd be great. Couple of second half goals. But what I was particularly thinking about, and we mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, the U's really stepped on it immediately after the half-time break. We were sitting there thinking, have they missed their chance? The lack of a final ball, will they pay the price? But they actually managed to up their performance levels even further. So if we could see that again, it would be brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. You want to progress through a game, and you know, one of the big things, one of the big jobs of a manager or a head coach during a game is at half-time when he can get those little messages across. Likewise, Barry Corr and Martin Davis, the goalkeeping coach, and Kevin Betsy as well. And he'll be saying to their players, just go out and keep doing what you're doing, but just a little bit more movement, just a little bit more sharpness inside and in and around the 18-yard box, and you may have this game won. And of course, they've got the substitutes to call on from an attacking perspective in John Kimani Gordon, who's signed on loan. He'll be champing at the bit to get out there on the pitch. Vajiri Okunabiri, who came off the bench and played a big part in that win against Bristol Rovers, and Elias Kachunga obviously missed the game at Orient. He'll be raring to go as well, so there are options there, but they'll stick with the side they've got certainly up until the hour mark at least.
Of the attacking players, we've lacked the final ball, but as has been mentioned on the text and the tweets, Jack Lancaster, the player who's been a bit quiet, full stop.
Quite. I think he's actually providing really good support for Ghassan Ahadmi. He's doing work that goes a little bit unnoticed at times, the little layoffs and the little knockdowns he's getting. But Sully Kaikai has been the pick of the three behind Ghassan Ahadmi for me. He's been a real menace down the left-hand side, turning the defender inside out, and we can see him trotting back out now as we're going to start the second half, Peter.
So 0-0 at the half-time break. Cambridge United up against Reading. It's on the telly, hence why we've got the game on a Monday night. And the U's looking to add their fourth win of the season, potentially move back into the League One playoff places. We're across all frequencies here on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. Your commentary team, Doug Shulman and Mark Johnson.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sports.
So welcome back to a sticky night in downtown Cambridge as Reading in all grey will look to attack from right to left in this second half against Cambridge United in their usual amber shirts, black shorts and socks, who will attack up the hill towards the Newmarket Road end. With Will Mannion in goal, back four of Liam Bennett, Ryan Bennett, Michael Morrison, Danny Andrew, George Thomas, Paul Digby behind James Brophy, Jack Lancaster, Sully Kaikai, Ghassan Ahadmi leading the line. Reading will look at their lineup in a moment as the referee's about to get the second half underway. They're in light grey shirts, dark grey shorts and grey of very many colours on the socks. There's a pattern emerged there. As Darren Drysdale, clad in black, looks to get things underway for the second half. Button in goal, and Bengway, Dean, Abbey and Carson in defence. Savage and Hutchinson behind Elliott. Aziz and Nibbs with Vickers leading the line. There, I did have time to do it after all. This is televised lark, isn't it? I don't know, muck around.
Yeah, they were just everyone's standing around having a little bit of a chat with themselves. But yeah, you're talking about pattern there. United will be looking for a similar pattern, but just with that little bit of edge in front of goal, Jono.
Finally, we're underway again to start the second half. There's the long clearance from Reading. United will see it out, and that's out for a throw deep in their own half. So second half we'll be looking for United to start as well as they did at the start of the first half. In fact, carry on like that, only with a goal.
Yeah, very much so. It's a case of United just keeping their foot on the gas. They've looked sharp when they've gone forward, but to say just that killer instinct in front of goal that they haven't quite had, but they've worked the opportunities, they've created the chances, which is the key thing.
Hughes making progress down the left-hand side. Long throw from Andrew, looking for the flick. Doesn't find Ahadmi. Back it'll come, and this time comes off a United head. And a quieter start to the second half as ball into touch for a throw to Reading, just inside Hughes territory, and Bengway to take. Goes back once more. Finding Abbey. He'll look to... wanted to go wide towards Matty Carson, decided against it. Instead it goes wide to Bengway once more. He'll run against Kaikai. That's been an interesting battle. Ball ricochets away. Hughes have to deal with it, and Morrison and Ryan Bennett under a little bit of pressure, very little bit of pressure, concedes a corner. United bit unfortunate. The ball ricocheted through off a Reading man. There's a chase for Vickers, and Ryan Bennett didn't get the call he wanted and took no chances, put it out for a corner.
Had to react really quickly there and just about dealt with it under a bit of adversity.
Corner, left-footed in, swinging. Hughes with everyone back, and it comes deep towards that far post where Michael Morrison nods it behind for another corner to Reading.
He did really well, watched it all the way up against his central defensive opposite number, Harley Dean. Watched it all the way, did Michael Morrison, well defended.
Savage comes to cross to take the corner this time on the left-hand side, so he left-footed out swinging. Again, United with everyone back as it's delivered in deep, testing one as well. Takes a header, flicked further away by Brophy. He'll come back into the danger area once more. Heads climb, half cleared. Hutchinson slipping as he got the shot away, and the ball just about finished rising by the time it reached the south stand. That's a presentable opportunity for Sam Hutchinson, who was well off balance by the time
it was his standing foot just gave way underneath him, and just didn't get the connection that he wanted. That's I don't think it quite cleared the south stand, but it wasn't far off.
Mannion then made that double save in the first half, launching the ball away. Ahadme comes a long way for it. It's over his head. Brophy works it on. Defenders there though to clear it high into the air. He'll come back over halfway, and scampering back Thomas gets it all the way back to his keeper. Mannion will clear emphatically, safely over halfway again. Ahadme can't get there. Lancaster runs into his man, who goes down, and Reading will have the free kick, which is taken quickly towards Mbengwe down that far side, on towards Elliott, who looks to return pass. Is a good one as well. Mbengwe on the run up against Kai. He'll get there as well. Deep cross, far post, looking for Nibs to arrive, and Liam Bennett climbed the higher to win the header and bring it away, and United settle for the throw.
Well, I'm not sure he's got quite a foot on Liam Bennett, Harvey Nibs, but Liam Bennett did absolutely leapt like a salmon, didn't he, to reach that header above Harvey Nibs.
He was like a jack-in-the-box coming out of a different jack-in-the-box. As Morrison controls just outside his own area, he goes across towards Danny Andrew, plays it down the line, looking for maybe Sully Kai, who hadn't made that run. Clearance from Button, and he'll get the ball back as well as George Thomas charges out from the back, but it's cleared away. Nibs with a head on for Reading. Ryan Bennett under a bit of pressure gets it away. Digby can't get there, but this time Ryan Bennett can, and that's an emphatic clearance which will find touch in the Havin stand. 5 minutes of the second half gone. Not the same fluency in the second half yet, Doug.
Not quite. As the ball came forward there, no one really had it under control. Ryan Bennett I should say, just managed to get something on it and leather it away, but just about clearing the danger and regrouping there, really.
As the ball goes all the way back to Button in the Reading goal. An obvious figure. It's neon green. And Reading spread it towards the right-hand side. Elliott looking for the ball down the line. Vickers has come short for the ball, and Reading has still got possession. And Vickers on to Nibs. Ball round the corner. Vickers will chase. Level the edge of the area, close to the corner. Now as he looks to take on his man, slips and delivers a decent cross, which Morrison measures a header away. Kai controls and sends it upfield, looking for the run of Ahadme, who controls nicely. Support slow to arrive, but he will find his way back to Thomas, who dips away from one, crosses halfway, wide to Kai on the left-hand side. Calm pass back to Danny Andrew. United will build again from the back.
Yeah, it was a shame. He picked up the ball really well, didn't he, on left-hand channel, but there wasn't quite the option close enough to him to Ghassan Ahadme to make that killer pass.
Andrew with all chipped down the line, looking for Kai, who's beaten away in the air. Hughes will settle for the throw, 15-20 yards inside Reading territory. On that left-hand side is United in amber and black attack up the hill towards the Newmarket Road end in this second half on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
It was an opportunity, wasn't it, really, for Ghassan Ahadme, but I think Jack Lancaster was the closest to him, and he was probably about 30 yards away.
As Liam Bennett plays the ball down the line, wrong side of the line, Reading will have the throw, which they take from the wrong place.
It's about 15 yards away from where it should have been taken, I think.
It was the right half of the field, well, the right side of the field.
Just.
And now play starts with a drop ball. I suspect the referee decided the ball hadn't actually gone out for a throw. Either way, play restarts with a drop ball and Reading in possession inside their own half. Abbey back to Button, who will take a touch and thought about launching it away, then plays it back calmly. Reading looking to play out from the back as Abbey finds Carson looking for the ball down this near side. Nibbs looks to return pass from Aziz. Nibbs can't get there in front of Liam Bennett, who gets there first and holds him off. Clearance is blocked, but there is Bennett to try and get back there, and this time he's lost out to Elliott. Elliott in the area. Hughes still trying to get to Elliott. It was a mazy run, but in the end, 3 amber and black shirts crowd out the Reading man. United clear their lines.
Well, just for once, Liam Bennett couldn't deal with it single-handedly. He did brilliantly to get in front of Harvey Nibbs and looked like he won the battle, but support there for Harvey Nibbs really quickly on that occasion.
Throw down the line, looking for Nibbs into the corner. He's turned well, but Brophy has the ball off him. It's still tight down there, and this time Bennett will clear his lines. Hadme in a wrestling match with Abbey, but Abbey's done just enough, and then Hutchinson plants the header back to his keeper. Hadme will chase, won't get there. Long clearance upfield. Bennett runs into Nibbs, who didn't like that particularly, and gets up huffing and puffing a little bit, and ball out for a throw to United. Just blocked off his man, Liam Bennett there.
It's brilliant to watch, isn't it? Harvey Nibbs and Liam Bennett going toe-to-toe. Liam Bennett winning the battle at the moment.
It's Brophy, nice piece of skill to switch the play to Andrew. Down the left-hand side to Kaikai, midway inside the Reading half. Kaikai continues his run, he's got 3 in the middle. Ball into the box, hooked behind for a corner to the U's.
Sully Kaikai, we picked him out as one of the danger men, and the danger men that performed for me in that first half. He's running down that left-hand side, did cause Reading problems, and I took a decent bit of defending to get in front of Ghassan Hadme, because he was ready there to pop that in the back of the net.
George Thomas across to take the corner. A line of players around the penalty spot. 2 in front of the keeper. 3 sitting deeper. It's looked deep towards that far side. Planted back header towards Lancaster with a shot. And it's saved and clawed behind for a corner. Fell invitingly for Jack Lancaster just outside the area. Got his shot on target. There's defender and keeper between them. Smuggled it away for a corner to the U's.
A really decent hit, wasn't it, from Jack Lancaster? It was on target as well.
Left-footed in swinging. Andrew to take. Half clear towards the far post. Might be kept in on that far side, but the pass is heavy. And Lancaster has to deal with it. And what a pass back it is towards that far side. And it's kept in by Digby. And Digby's won a corner after his initial pass was heavy. Lancaster did really well to keep the move going. And Digby was again in on that left flank on the overlap, winning another corner for the U's.
Yeah, the way they recycled the ball there, United, very impressive indeed. Immediately causing the second phase of danger.
Right-footed in swinging, Thomas to take, deep far post, almost found his way through to a Hadme, but drifted just beyond him and out for the goal kicks. 10 minutes into the second half, it's U's 0, Reading 0. Reading pondering a change or two.
Certainly, I mean, the first half there was a real pattern, wasn't there? United taking the game to Reading. Second half, very, very similar, isn't it?
Yes. Reading was dribbling it out as Button, and was under a bit of pressure and hooked it upfield. Bennett collects and to lunge in and clip it off Nibbs for a throw to United. Ruben Sellis doesn't like it and tries to run off with the ball under his jumper. I don't think that's allowed.
Yeah, good try. He's got a smile on his face. He knows that he was being a bit naughty.
It's born of frustration rather than malice. As United via Andrew clear, but that will come back. Aziz beaten away just by a really strong challenge from Morrison. Ryan Bennett's pass upfield's intercepted. Liam's isn't, and he'll find Brophy on halfway. Scampering down the right hand side. Bennett on the overlap. 3 in the middle to aim at. Now 4 arrives. Ball pulled back into the path of Digby. Digby with a shot clawed behind for a corner. Brilliant counter-attacking from United.
That's liquid football, isn't it, from Cambridge United? Liam Bennett set it up, set Brophy away down the right-hand side. Fed him brilliantly, wasn't he? Paul Digby on target, pulled the trigger, took a really brilliant save from Button. Brilliant stuff from United.
Corner, left-footed, in swinging. Danny Andrew to take. Hughes with plenty forward. Deep cross far post. Hart headed away. Liam Bennett will pick up the pieces. Reading making 2 changes momentarily. Ball into the box towards Bennett. Bennett with a shot. Take a deflection. Thomas with the shot. claiming that may have blocked off a hand, but nothing doing, says the referee. As Reading make a couple of changes. Andy Yaden will come on in place of Matty Carson, like for like. And also coming on is Kelvin Abathiolman. And here we'll replace, this is interesting, Ben Elliott.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. It's quite an attacking change, isn't it, really? His side have been under real pressure. Ruben Sellers, and he's forced to make these changes.
Abathiolman will come on. Yaden will come slip in at right back. He'll slip in at left back, I should say. Hughes with a throw over on that far side, the right hand side. Long clearance, that's cut out. And goes wide, looking for Nibs on this near side. Bennett with a cushioned header back to Ryan Bennett, who's closed down but can get it back to his keeper. And Hughes going upfield, but the keeper out of his line quickly to head it away. It's a long way out the reservation. United back in possession, and they'll deliver it across towards this right hand side where Brophy will drift infield, continuing his run, looking for the reverse pass, offside figure of Jack Lancaster, who just a little ponderous in the end.
Yeah, as soon as that ball was played, you knew the flag was going to go up. But again, United playing some really lovely balls through the line, some lovely little triangles, but still missing just that little bit of edge in front of goal. But they've been working the keeper. Only one thing missing, Jono, isn't there?
Yeah. So Reading have already made 2 changes. Hughes, none as yet. As Hutchinson just redoes a shoelace carefully. And the first offside decision of the match.
He's not been too
on
many,
the hour mark. It's 0-0.
In fact, none at all. Yep.
Reading in possession, looking for the ball forward to Abathiolman, who tries to turn his man, and Liam Bennett's having none of it and wrestled to the ground, gets to his feet, wins the ball, loses it. Digby and Ryan Bennett get it away. Lovely quick feet from Thomas to get it away towards Brophy on this right hand side, holds off Nibs, continues his run, and then there's a defender to get back to slide it out for a throw to United, which they look to take quickly, looking to keep that tempo going from a Hughes point of view.
They're really taking the game to Reading, who are being forced deeper and deeper at times here.
United in possession inside their own half, go all the way back to Will Mannion, who made 2 really good saves in the first half, a double save. And he gets the ball back and launches it away, right-footed over halfway. Dean beaten in the air almost by Hadmay, but Reading will clear. Long ball upfield. Morrison has to chase and watch it. Abathiolman behind him. Morrison gets it back to his keeper, who will take a touch and get it away just over halfway. There's a chase for Lancaster up against 2 defenders. A stooping header from Harley Dean nods it back to his keeper, and then starts a mini inquest.
Well, they left the decision a little bit late there, didn't they, Reading?
Spread wide to Mbengwe on that right hand side now, midway inside the Hughes half. End to end stuff here. Picked up once more, looking to roll it in. Aziz back towards Hutchinson. Reading still in possession inside their own half, just into the last half hour of the game. Hughes 0, Reading 0.
Reading Championship side, of course, this time last year.
Vickers held off by a couple, but he's managed to win the ball back, low centre of gravity. Speaking of which, Liam Bennett prevents him going too far forward with it. The play is spread towards Mbengwe on that right hand side, ball down the line to where good defensive work from Danny Andrews, sees off his man and wins the goal kick. Another trio of subs start warming up for the Hughes. Trio of attacking options at that. And Pajiri Okunabire, Elias Kachunga and John Kimani Gordon.
Yeah, plenty of options there. Reading obviously used theirs. Kelvin Ehibathioman, who scored twice so far this season. He's a big physical presence up top. They'll look to get the ball to him as much as they can.
There's the ball forward, and Hadmay keeps it in, but United can't do anything with it. And Thomas in the end hands it out for a throw for Reading on the halfway line. Sticky night under ink black skies now.
There's a warm evening.
Nelson Abbey comes away with the ball for Reading. We've had to work hard in defence and work it away towards Mbengwe, who's closed down by Kaikai, but just about squirms away. The ball has to go back into Reading territory once more. Abbey again, midway inside the U's half. Savage goes on a little run forward, then checks. Turns back towards this near side. Yadam, who's played against United before for Hayes and Yedding.
And Braintree, many years ago. Yeah. Back in the conference days, of course. And the Barnet as well.
Let's see, clearance forward to Ehibathioman, who holds it up well, looks to ferry it on to Aziz. Aziz wide, turns well actually, and gets it in towards that left-hand side. Vickers gets it back to him. Now Aziz, just outside the area, clips it into the area where Liam Bennett wins his header. Half away, but not clear yet. It'll come back towards Vickers again on the right-hand side, looking to take on his man. Tries to deliver the cross. He's pulled it back well, and it's thundered away by Ryan Bennett from just before Harvey Nibbs was able to pull the trigger. But Reading mounting a sustained spell of pressure at the moment. So it comes back towards Hutchinson on the right-hand side. Into the box it goes, too deep. And Mannion can claim. And he thinks about bowling it out in an instant, but the release wasn't there. Yadam had gone stride to stride with Brophy just to make sure the U's keeper couldn't bowl it out so quickly.
Yeah, it was a time to release it quickly, and there's a time not to, and they were very quickly marshalled, weren't they, those in black and amber at the top end of the pitch by Reading.
Yeah, one quickly became the other, didn't it? As Thomas beaten in the air, but does enough. Kaikai forces it back into his own half, and Morrison watching carefully. Ehibathioman was there ready to close Mannion down, but can't do so. Not back in field. United push back for the first time really tonight at the moment. They're hanging on just a little bit as Thomas sorts it out and finds Andrew and gets the ball back in the centre circle. Runs into trouble and loses the ball. Ehibathioman runs into Morrison. Morrison comes away with the ball but concedes the foul. Little too strong for the referee's liking. Then pushing and shoving afterwards between Morrison and the Reading man. Morrison goes into the book.
And a little bit of petulance there. I think he was just frustrated at and perhaps giving the ball away. It's George Thomas just overplayed his last touch, wasn't it, in central midfield, and had to be quick to try and mop things up, United.
66th booking, 66th minute, first booking for United. I knew what I meant. No, we've had games like that, haven't we? It felt like it. This isn't one.
Thankfully.
Reading with a free kick, and they'll launch it into the box towards that far side where defender Harley Dean had arrived, but he was watched well by Ryan Bennett, and behind it goes for a corner.
Yeah, just looking to just try and tighten the screw a little bit if they can. Reading, they've done well actually to absorb that 15 minutes or so of United pressure. Another big crowd announced here at the Abbey. I don't know what it was, but I know it was large.
6,500 plus. As a corner in towards that far side, and over the bar it goes. Real chance, and Dean arriving, got his head to it, couldn't keep the header down. Real chance for Harley Dean, arriving at the corner and just escaped his man, but couldn't keep his header down.
Oh, that wasn't too far away. 6-7 inches over the bar, got a really good connection on it. That's too good. It was just rising a little bit, and United perhaps got away with one there. As we were saying, they've ridden the pressure well, Reading, and now they're trying to make their mark at the other end of the pitch. It's been a fairly even contest, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. As Hughes looking to thread it through, Brophy couldn't quite do so. Liam Bennett will pick up the pieces on the right-hand side. Looks for a bit of help, ducks in field, delivers across towards a Hadmay, beaten in the air, and Hutchinson slides to the ground to win the ball and get Reading breaking. Plays a 1-2 with Savage, who was nearly caught in possession but wasn't. And Nelson midway inside his own half for Reading from right to left. Midway point of the second half approaching. It's goalless at the Abbey.
Really on a knife edge, isn't it? And United will hope they can find just that one bit of quality they need to get over the line here. Options on the bench, of course.
Hutchinson almost caught in possession by Hadmate, squirmed away, and it's played wide to Mbengwe on the right-hand side. He'll look to run at the U's defence, delivers a cross into the area, nodded away by Ryan Bennett brilliantly. Brophy will latch onto the loose ball and stride upfield with possession. Holds off Hutchinson, who pulled him down. Yellow card for Hutchinson. That was horrible challenge. He knew how many players there were between Brophy or himself and the goal, and knew it'd be yellow, but lunged in at Brophy.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Didn't look pretty, that, did it? Had Jack Lancaster beyond him, Liam Bennett making his way down the right hand side. Ghassan had me, of course, as well, and they looked to break with real pace, and he was brought down really crudely. No hesitation about the yellow card, and James Brophy just limping a little bit.
Yeah, it was one of those he took for the team, I think, there. Midway point of the second half. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. I'm Mark Johnson. Doug Shulman alongside. It's Cambridge United 0, Reading 0.
There's been many moments to catch your breath, has there?
Was used with the free kick. Thomas will take just inside Reading territory, plenty forward. So he chips it up towards the far post, looking for the nod on from Morrison. Half cleared, little chest down. Lancaster digs it out. Back to Thomas, midway inside the Reading half. Wide to Danny Andrew on the left. Delivers it into the area, looking for Ahadme, nodded away. Only as far as Lancaster trying to thread it through, looking for the run of Morrison, but Reading clear, and Liam Bennett rather to get back, but Vickers has got round him and will look to break down this near side. Held up just for a second, back to Etibatioun, looking to drive the shot away, and he's got it wide via a deflection. And it came off the boot, I think, of Paul Digby, and wide for a corner.
Well, you just held your breath for a moment. Liam Bennett looked like he had that under control, and all of a sudden Vickers, who had quick-footed himself, just managed to nick the ball away, but you did wonder whether that was the moment Reading were going to pull the trigger, you know.
Kelvin Etibatioun had a real chance. He's scored 5 this season in all competitions. He's pushing and shoving around the penalty spot, and Hutchinson has gone to ground. And the referee's had a look and said, come on, get up, don't be so silly.
You just get a sense that defence is just starting to be stretched a bit, Jono, don't you?
Yeah. Corner, left-footed in swinging. Savage to take. Everyone back for United. Looking for the flick at the near post. Bennett half away. Brophy tries to bring it away and was side down as he did so. Hughes get the free kick, and that was another real lunge. And who was that from?
Oh, there's about 3 players in there, and I think he'll call the player over, not just for the card, but for a little chat as well.
I think it's Yadam.
It is, isn't it? Just come on.
I think Hutchinson had a lunge and couldn't quite get there. Yadam makes sure he did.
Yeah. Third Reading player booked this evening, but James Brophy did really well, actually, just to snaffle up the loose ball and draw the foul.
There are changes afoot for United. At least 2. Kachunga's one of them, judging by the reaction from Newmarket Road End, who can see into the dugout better than I can from here. As the ball forward, it comes off the head of a Reading man for a throw to United, just inside the Reading half. The ball goes back between Bennett's. Liam will get it back and looking for the ball around the corner. Controlled nicely by Lancaster, who turns away from 2 on halfway and gets it down the line towards Brophy. Brophy up against Yadam, who a little nudge at him once and twice, but Brophy's there. A little back heel to get Bennett away. Back to James Brophy, threading it forward. Lancaster, corner of the box, didn't open up for him. Does find his way to Danny Andrew, looking to slip in Kai, and has done. Kai in the corner of the box, deep cross, far post, nodded away by the Reading defence, but it's won back by George Thomas once and then twice in the area. Turns and fires it just wide. Brilliant play from Thomas. And Mbengwe was all over the shop. He didn't know where he was. And Thomas got the shot away, but just wide.
Oh, so close. How many times have we said that this evening? And George Thomas did brilliantly to recover the ball and create the opportunity for himself, but
changes for United. Elias Kachunga comes on for Jack Lancaster. John Kyman Gordon will come on for a debut as well. He'll come on in place of Sully Kaikai. And there'll be one more change as well. It'll be Fajiri Okunabire will come on for Ghassan Ahadme. So all change up front.
Yeah, becoming a regular change, isn't it? Okunabire for Ghassan Ahadme. Well, you know what happened last time we replaced him here at the Abbey, Jono?
Just remind me. Pretend I've forgotten.
I scored the first and sat up the second for Sully Kaikai, who also came off the bench. But really positive change, strong changes from Mark Boller in terms of fresh legs and attacking options.
Still the same shape as Hughes. Kachunga, who's playing in the hole really in the Lancaster role, looks at the ball over the top and traced back by Gordon, who's hauled back, went towards Okunabire. Okunabire couldn't get his shot away and it goes behind for a corner. But Gordon was hauled back, absolutely hauled back. The referee playing advantage. Okunabire with a shot, and that was blocked for a corner.
Happened an absolute flash, didn't it? He's given a corner eventually, but again, that pace of United.
In comes the cross, in towards the edge of the box, towards Gordon. Gordon with a shot, that's charged down. It come back towards Thomas. He'll deliver it into the area, nodded away by the Reading defence. Liam Bennett will hook it back, up and under into the box. It comes off the knee of the big centre forward who's back defending. Peels optimistically for handball.
Very optimistically.
There's Reading going forward with Vickers. There was Liam Bennett to get a foot in and to win the ball, and looked at as Brophy rather get a foot in and win the ball and clear. There's a decent one as well. Gordon will chase, won't quite get there. Kachunga has, and he's picked it up. Neil charged forward, and he was away from a lunge by Hutchinson. Hutchinson's been booked, surely.
Savage, I think, that goes in the book,
It was
Jono.
Savage, you're right, it was Savage in the middle.
That was cynical, isn't it? But I guess, as with Hutchinson, I mean, United had men over there. He's filed that under, perhaps taken one for the team, I don't know.
Chip off the old block from Charlie Savage, I think.
Yeah. But United, lots and lots of pressure at the moment, but must make it count.
It will be a free kick. It's 15 yards outside the area. It's dead centre. Danny Andrews lining something up from here. And Harvey Nibbs, who no longer plays for Cambridge United, so can't take this free kick, wanders across to stand 2 yards away from the ball. Reading about to make another couple of changes, but Danny Andrew from distance, a good 30 yards, 33 yards maybe. Thomas stands over it as well. Two men wall has been positioned. So Thomas with the right foot, Andrew with the left. It will be Andrew, drills it high and it's still going. So Michael Craig will come on as a defensive midfielder for Reading. That's one of two changes.
Yeah, Mola is the other change, I think, Jono.
I think you're right. Clinton Mola is another midfielder or defender. United can't make another. I'm thinking weren't not make another change. I think Paul Digby's had to come and change his shirt.
Yeah, I do wonder whether they are going to make the changes, I think, Jono. Well, they're holding back just for a second. I think they are, you know.
I think you're right. Paul Digby's appearing back on the field any minute, having changed his shirt. And play restarts with the ball rolled out. It is 0-0. There's had a bit of everything.
There's only one thing missing, isn't there, really? I mean, it's been a really good performance for United, even though they don't get the killer goal that they want.
Ball over the top, Nibbs beaten away just about. There is Digby in a real wrestling match with Bathiolum trying to get to the byline. He's been caught, but it will come back towards Vickers. Back to the big substitute who turns his man and then nearly falls over his own feet. Back to Vickers. Vickers again. Bathiolum makes his run in towards the edge of the area. Gets the ball once, but doesn't come back a second time. Vickers will deliver the cross low into the box. Nibbs tries to control, can't do so. Ball back towards Yadim, who can't control either. Then a shot from Mbengwe all the way along the ground. Easy meet in the end for United keeper.
It was a good shot on the turn and comfortable-ish, wasn't it, from Will Mannion in the end?
Okunabire beaten away, but it's won back by Thomas. United having to dig in just at the minute. Andrew with the ball over the top. Okunabire would chase. Defender half away. Chasing is Kachunga. He's got there first, but in the end, Abbey got it away from him. And Mbengwe will look to Aziz down that far side. Now Vickers. Vickers forces it back infield to Savage. Savage taking a touch once and twice, looking round, finding Mbengwe next to him. Midway inside the U's half. Down the line it goes to Vickers. Vickers got a bit of support. Reading have enjoyed much more of the play in United half in the second period. United haven't enjoyed it quite so much. But, as Andrew nipping in to get the ball half away, but back it'll come. Aziz tries to turn, can't do so, but can spread it across to Abbey on this near side. He'll go wide to Yadim. Yadim rolls it in. Looks for the return pass, doesn't come. Hutchinson will look to play it across towards the right-hand side. Reading being forced back just for a minute. Kachunga has picked the pocket of Abbey and will look to turn. Brophy makes the run. That's the ball down the line. He'll get there, close to the edge of the box. Just being tagged as he gets there, looking to feed it back to Elias Kachunga. Kachunga rolls it across and misses his man. Digby will try and win it back and has done so brilliantly for the U's once, but not twice. But still it's picked up. Bathiolum looking for the ball down towards that far side where it's picked up by Aziz. He's got three in the middle as Reading look to counter-attack. Deep cross far post and a brilliant climb by Ryan Bennett to nod it wide towards this near side. Yadim look to run it in once more. Comes back to Savage. Savage with stands out towards the far side and the head down towards the far side where a push was spotted. United will get the free kick and Reading will make the changes.
And we can pause for breath.
Savage will be one to come off in place of Craig. Like for like again, I think, really. Defensive midfielder for defensive midfielder. And Clinton Mola, who's a free agent after being released by Stuttgart in the summer, comes on in place of Amadou Mbengwe.
It's number 2, Clinton Mola.
Yeah, Mbengwe has got forward well, hasn't he, down that right-hand side on occasion, but well marked in the main by United. Just had that one opportunity in the second half that Will Mannion was forced to scramble away relatively comfortable to his left-hand side. Had pressure at times, Reading, but not really worked Will Mannion too much, have they?
No. Andy Yadim goes to right back now. And Clinton Mola goes to left back. So general shuffle houses in the Reading back line with 9 minutes to go. U's 0, Reading 0.
As 0-0s go, it's been pretty good fare, hasn't it?
Yeah. As Mola in possession, gets it back to his keeper. Okunabire has a look, but Button gets it away. For all United's pressure, actually, I'm not sure Button's made a save. As two United men combine to squander possession rather on that far side, the left-hand side, and Reading will break. Digby nods it down, forced on by Kachunga, but only as far as Mola. Wants to try and work it out of the back. Reading have got another sub poised. They've made 4, so there can only be one more. As Hughes getting the ball away via Danny Andrew. James Brophy beaten in the air, but Ryan Bennett will volley the ball away. Can't get it over Hutchinson. As Thomas gets away for a wild attempt from Aziz to bring him down or win the ball, and Thomas will scamper away down the left-hand side. He's got 3 in the box. Looking to roll it across towards Paul Digby, 30 yards out. Across it goes to Liam Bennett. Bennett wide towards Kachunga, who up against Mola can't turn, but can find Liam Bennett. Bennett stands his man up, delivers the cross, but was off balance as he did so, and out that drifts for the goal kick as Tivong Rashidat comes on.
Substitution for Reading, replacing
And
number 11.
he's more of a defensive player, actually, and he'll replace Femi Aziz.
Femi Aziz, yeah, it's an interesting change, isn't it? Unless they're going to ask him to play a little bit further forward, I'm not sure, but...
Please allow 10 minutes after the final whistle before leaving. That's if you're parking any of the stadium car parks.
Made right old mess of my team sheet now, all these changes.
Before leaving, thank you.
Even using a pencil rather than a biro this evening, mine's a mess.
We could almost do with a secretary to do all the bookkeeping for us, couldn't we?
Couldn't we? Yeah.
There's Button's clearance finds touch, and United will have the throw. Sheeda is playing just behind the front two.
I did wonder whether they'd ask him to play a little bit further forward. You can't say that either side really have rested on their laurels and tried to sit tight at the back, can you?
It's Gordon with the ball on to Okadina. Okanabere round the corner towards Brophy. Brophy will look to run at his man. Into the area he goes. Tries to pull it back. And thump home! Hughes in front! Fajiri! Okanabere started it and finished it. Bumping it home from close range. He played it out towards the right-hand side. The ball came back in and it was thumped home from close range emphatically. 7 minutes to go. Hughes had the goal. It's Reading trail. Cambridge United 1, Reading 0.
Well, it's been a brilliant performance from United all over the park for me. They were just missing that one little bit of quality in front of goal. And Fajiri Okanabere, once again, off the bench, smashes it into the back of the net. That is the cherry on top of the cake that United were looking for. Now they've got to hold on and see this one out. But a brilliant piece of counter-attacking football from United. They've done that so well all night, Jono, haven't they?
It's a lovely ball to get his man away down the right-hand side.
Oh, absolutely superb. That was quality football once again from Cambridge United. Goal number 4 for Okanabere this season. I think his fitness troubles are behind him.
5 minutes to go. Hughes in front. Okanabere off the bench again. After a lovely piece of counter-attacking work. Ball over the top from Reading, but it's nodded towards the wedge of the United area. Away emphatically by Ryan Bennett, and Brophy will complete the clearance. Up it'll go, and it'll be nodded all the way back to Button, who had absolutely no chance with that.
Absolutely. Didn't have that one sewn up, did he?
I was wondering how I was going to try and force that one in, but well done. You popped that one in very nicely. Was Reading in possession.
Sorry, that wasn't exactly comedy gold, was it?
Rarely is here, though, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's always amateur hour, isn't it?
Yeah. Long clearance from Reading, and Danny Andrew can just dance under it.
Well, Newmarket Road end, away to our right. They absolutely love that. He couldn't have hit that any harder into the back of the net for Fajiri Okanabere, and fans behind that goal absolutely potty.
Word about the cross from James Brophy as well. Absolutely perfect for him.
Brilliant. He's had a good night, hasn't he, James Brophy? That's had the use so far.
So far. It's United looking to crowd out their man. Digby does just that. Brophy works it on. Kachunga around the line, looking for the run of Okanabere, who's offside. Flag goes up correctly. Reading take the free kick. And we'll look to spread it towards this near side where Liam Bennett cuts it out and flips it off the head of Mola for a throw to the U's. Cambridge United 1, Reading 0 here on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
And he came off the bench and scored in the 81st minute. Our last home game here, at 2-0 win over Bristol Rovers. 83rd minute, that one. But he's making a bit of a habit of this, isn't he, Fajiri?
It's not a bad habit, is it? Domination in full cry as Reading in possession inside their own half, and Okanabere nearly nicked the ball off Mola, and as a result defender has to come across and panic it away for a throw to, well, linesman signalled to United. The referee, I think, got it right and said it was a Reading throw.
Yeah, super commitment from Fajiri Okunabiri.
Reading in possession inside in midfield with Hutchinson. To turn. In fact, it's picked all of a sudden by Craig. Wide towards that far side. Yadam looks to get it down the line where it's found a bit of help. It'll come back once more. Yadam will deliver the cross into the area and it flashes across, and Liam Bennett must have got a really good shout there as he let it run across him and out for the goal kick.
Yeah, just let it run beyond him. I don't know who sent in the facts, but well done whoever did. Yeah, it was a dangerous ball. One of those balls that it just takes a touch when it's running across the face of the goal itself to put it into the back of the net, but they obviously got shout. Good instinct as well from Liam Bennett just to see that one run out, and Vickers has made him work hard this evening.
Yeah.
Liam Bennett.
2.5 minutes to go, plus stoppage time. It's Cambridge United 1, Reading 0 on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. This time Okunabiri beaten in the air. But Hughes will win it back. Digby will slide in and poke it forward. But Clinton Mola has got time to scamper back. Got a bit of support alongside him. The Amber Nation bouncing away at the Newmarket Road end. It's measuring about 6 on the Richter scale at that end of the ground.
It is, isn't it? Say another super crowd in here this evening. You can almost smell the win, but this final couple of minutes plus added time is going to seem like a lifetime.
As Liam Bennett climbs to win the header and the free kick, as he was caught a bit late by Clinton Mola. Hughes will have that inside their own half. No rush to take it. No rush to find exactly the right spot from which to take it either.
We've got another 8 days before a United fixture. That's the one at Peterborough and the EFL Trophy. Another 12 days before, I think it is 12 days before a league fixture again. There's Wigan away.
Oh yes, let's do that, shall we? As Mannion with a clearance for United. Okunabiri beaten in the air, but Bennett will watch it as it goes out for the throw to the Hughes, midway inside Reading territory on the right hand side. It's nothing quite like a goal under the lights at the Newmarket Road end, is there?
No, absolutely brilliant. And I think what Mark Bonner will be really pleased with at this stage in the game, as there's still time to go, is that he's seen a reaction in terms of performance, certainly from his side after the defeat at Orient.
As a ball back and a bedraggled looking Harley Dean just kicks it into touch for a throw to United, level the edge of the area. Hughes keeping Reading pinged in just at the moment. Last minute of normal time. It's Hughes 1, Reading 0. Throw down the line. Might find its way to Kachunga. Now Brophy. Brophy's got Bennett for company. Brophy finds him. Closed into the corner by 2. Squirms away from 1. Gets it back. Digby thunders into the challenge and the ball ricochets away and out for the goal kick. Fourth official rosining up his board. As Charlie Daniels would probably have said.
He can press the number 1 on it if he likes.
Let's head back from Digby, chased down by Okunabiri, controls nicely, forces it back. Brophy just caught, but behind him Digby will get it down the line. Okunabiri will chase, defender across, throw to United, level with the edge of the Reading penalty area. The board says 6 minutes to be added, a minimum thereof.
Yeah, plenty of work for United to do to see themselves over the line for this one, and keeping it at that end of the pitch where it is at the moment would be a good start, wouldn't it?
Yep. Liam Bennett with a throw, level with the edge of the area, taking his time over it, making sure the referee doesn't tell him to move back down the line towards Okunabiri, who a bit high for him actually, had to climb and then nods it away for the throw.
Yeah, the referee will be keeping an eye on what he perceives, and the rules now perceive as time wasting, but it's about United just puncturing the momentum, isn't it?
Digby wins the ball back and clatters it. It came off Liam Bennett last actually for a throw to Reading midway inside the Reading half. Had nearly a minute of the 6 to be added. Throw down the line. Liam Bennett climbs well again. Kachunga in the middle, gets it back. Digby ball over the top, but that's asking too much of Fajiri Okunabiri, and it will run through to David Button, the keeper, who can launch it away for Reading. Only as far as Paul Digby on towards Okunabiri, who controls nicely back towards Brophy. Brophy ball down the line, looking for the run of Kachunga. Kachunga comes across, but so there's a defender who plants the ball into the car park, and United will have a throw.
Yeah, just all about clearing the lines. They felt the pressure of Elias Kachunga, who's been impressive since he's climbed off the bench with Okunabiri and John Gordon. Yeah, it's those fresh legs as the options off the bench, and that's what Mark Bonnell's looking for this season.
Exactly. Throw to United. Bennett takes, finds Kachunga, but in the end just crowded out. 3 against 2, and the 2 for United didn't have any great intent of getting the ball into the area. Reading with a goal kick, which they take short, so they have done most of the night, and then launch it forward. Ryan Bennett wants Mannion to come, and Mannion will come and collect and fall gracefully to the ground. Ball safely in hands. Into the 3rd of the 6 to be added. It's Hughes 1, Reading 0.
Safety into the hands of Will Mannion. He's taking his time with this goal kick as well. Just trying to run that clock down, Jono, isn't he?
Poole was pinged in and Gordon couldn't control. It's run quite nicely just for a second, but Gordon's won it back. Digby almost loses out. There is Gordon to win it back for United and play it over the top. Okunabiri with trace. Keeper scampers out of his goal and larrups it away. Goes over the halfway line. Ryan Bennett gets there first, but back it'll come. Wide towards the far side, where Danny Andrews steps in and sends it upfield, and Harley Dean has to go back to his keeper once more. John Kameni Gordon will close him down, but it's worked away by the Reading keeper again. Danny Andrews will see that one out for a throw to United in their own half. Well in their own half, as we enter the 4th of the 6 minutes to be added.
One of the other substitutes, John Kamadi Gordon, just putting that little bit of pressure on David Button and just forcing him into the hurried clearance, and way out of play. Couldn't get any accuracy on his clearance, could he, Button?
No. He's trying to clear their lines. Brophy gets it half away, held up, but Reading will win it back down that right hand side, looking for the run. Cross comes Danny Andrew again and plays it into the Reading man for a goal kick to the Hughes. Super defending again from United left back.
Well, he'd had 1 or 2 bits and pieces, certainly of criticism after the Leyton Orient game, and one other fixture here at the Abbey where he was perceived to make a little bit of an error. It was a game against Stevenage, but he's answered 1 or 2 bits and pieces of criticism that were levelled at him, and he's had a super game tonight, hasn't he, Jono?
Yeah. We've had 4 of the 6 advertised extra minutes. Hughes lead by a goal to 0 as Kachunga beaten away on that occasion. Reading back on the ball, goes wide towards the right hand side, looking for the ball down the line from Vickers. Vickers has got 3 in the box in grey as he looks to twist and turn. Cross comes into the area, plenty climb, still they're climbing, it's thumped in, is it, against the underside of the bar, and the linesman says it's there. This one did cross the line, did it? The referee says no. He's given the free kick for a push on Will Mannion. Drama at the end. I think it was Harley Dean with a touch. Crossed the line, I think, definitely this time. But Mannion had been pushed, apparently, and United get the free kick.
Well, United will take it, but I'm not sure I saw much of a push in there, to be honest, Jono, and you'd thought the referee was signalling for the goal being given. The Reading fans away to our left, they were up, they thought they'd equalised deep into added time, but this game couldn't have any more drama, could it, Jono?
Hughes will be hoping not. We're into the 6th of the 6 to be added. Hughes lead by a goal to 0. We're only in September as United ease the ball out for a throw inside their own half. Well, ball came back off the underside of the bar. I think it did cross the line, but there was apparently a push on Will Mannion.
Well, I just managed to see a replay of that incident. It looked like the ball didn't go over the line, but in the follow-up there was the foul on Will Mannion, so it was the follow-up after that initial shot that we weren't sure whether it had gone over the line, but clearly it hadn't.
How do you manage to get all these replays, Doug Shaw?
Someone with a laptop down there, that's why.
Dear. That just confused me. We're into the final of the 6 minutes to be added. Hughes lead by a goal to 0. Referee checks his watch once, twice. Throw to Reading deep in their own half. Hutchinson would take, goes back to his keeper. Another check of the watch from the referee as it's launched away over the halfway line. There's a push by Bennett. Free kick to Reading.
A bit of a shirt pull in there as well, and this is...
Effie Bathiolman was was pushed. Button will come and take it, I think, for Reading. I want someone else to take it.
This is where the kitchen sink and all the fixtures come out, Jono, isn't it?
Yeah, here comes the keeper for Reading. He's up from the back. Hutchinson will take it. It's midway between the halfway line and the edge of the area. 2 yards in from this left touchline. Hutchinson to take. Keepers up in a line of a million on the edge of the area. Ball into the box. Mannion comes and will gather it. And will gather it emphatically. And gets pats all over his body from the Hughes defenders.
Well, it was a big enough cheer after the goal. That one was equally
and
so.
There goes the full-time whistle, and you can fire up coconuts as the Hughes claim a hard-fought win over a side that was in the Championship last season. Hughes thought they had the ball in the net inside the first 40 minutes. Reading thought they had in the last minute of stoppage time. Neither proved to be the case. And in fact, the only man to have it in the net was Fajiri Okunabere off the bench to thump home Brophy's cross in the 83rd minute. Breathless at times, chances aplenty at either end. Mannion with important double save in the first half. Button not tested. Stadium. It's Cambridge United 1, Reading 0.
John, you mentioned it back end of the commentary, Fajiri Okunabere's goal, once again underlining the importance of having a well-stocked bench. It's such a contrast to last season.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the difference between this United and last season's United. They've got options off the bench that can change the game rather than just having options to try and seal and hold on to what they've got. Those attacking options made all the difference. They made it in the last home game against Bristol Rovers. They certainly made it today. And to have those attacking options that can run a defence that's been worked hard on a hot evening ragged once those changes came on was the difference between United winning and drawing this game.
And the final ball wasn't always there this evening, but James Brophy, delicious cross, delicious pick out for the goal.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Started by Okunabere, lovely little reverse faster, but Brophy away. And it shows the benefit of getting your man who's two-footed, really. He can deliver a cross with either foot, but down the right-hand side. A perfect cross and a perfect finish from a number 9 with a striker's instinct. So a great night from a Hughes point of view. They rode their luck a little bit at the end, but Reading rode it at the beginning, so that all evened itself out. And in the end, I think the better team won.
Yeah, strange symmetry to the game that we had goal line drama in the first minute, and in the last minute, Harvey Nibbs with the strike. What a story that would have been if he'd scored the equaliser.
Wouldn't it just? But it was written not to be. Nibbs was a peripheral figure for long spells of this match. He really was. And as a result, as we see Ruben Sellish having a long argument with the referee as he walks off, as a result, by and large, I think United will need to be careful of the shorts that Liam Bennett's got. They'll need to check the pockets that Harvey Nibbs isn't still in one of them.
81333 if you want to text us here on the show at BBC Cam Sport. That's our address on Twitter and on WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Cambridge United with a 4th win in 6, back into the League One playoff places. I know it's early days at the start of the season, but hey, I think 6 games in, we're more than entitled to look at the table. So get the messages coming in to us. We'll get back to Jono in just a second.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sports.
4 wins in 6 for Cambridge United at the start of the new League One season. 4 clean sheets. Hard fought this evening. The Hughes thought they were ahead within the first minute of the game.
Kai will try to turn. Closed down by a couple. Squirms between them. Looks to get to the byline and does. Pulls it back. Far post. Not it home. Hughes in front. Surely. Was that off the line? Cleared off the line. Gassan Ahadme. Surely that one across the line. Wish there was television here to confirm it.
The game ebbed and flowed. Reading had periods on top. The Hughes often with the sharper play on the break, but the final ball all too often was lacking. Fajiri Okunabere, the super sub, once again, Mark Bonner ringing the changes. Okunabire getting the all-important goal.
Okunabire round the corner towards Brophy. Brophy will look to run at his man. Into the area he goes. Tries to pull it back. And thump home. Hughes in front. Fajiri. Okunabire started it and finished it. Bumping it home from close range. He played it out towards the right-hand side. The ball came back in and it was bumped home from close range emphatically. 7 minutes to go. Hughes had the goal. Cambridge United 1, Reading 0.
For large parts of the remainder of the game, the U's were actually quite comfortable once they'd taken the lead. They could have thrown it away at the last. Harvey Nibbs striking the bar from close range, the ball bouncing down pretty much directly on the line, but bouncing away to safety. So 1-0 the final score for Fajiri Okunabire with the winning goal. 81333 if you want to text us. At BBC Cam Sport is our address on Twitter. On WhatsApp we're 08000 321 333. Let's take a look then at some of the messages heading into the inbox. This one from Sarah and Mum. Evening to the pair of you. The game was winnable. The U's won it, and exactly the impact we needed. James Brophy, Paul Digby, Liam Bennett all smashing it this evening. Sarah and Mum say, as always, love you, Mark Bonner. Derek says, what a difference having options off the bench makes, grinding out wins in games that last season we would have lost. The crossfield pass from the Palace lad was a stunner for the goal. Great back four performance in the end, and Paul Digby at his best. P.S. So pleased for the loyalty Mark Bonner and the club have shown to Fajiri Okunabire. Thank you for that one, Derek. 81333 if you want to get involved and text us. We're at BBC Cam Sport. That's our address on Twitter. On WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Remember, for the text and WhatsApp to start your messages CAM, otherwise they'll head off to other parts of the BBC. Ben has been listening in. Ben says, gutted to have missed out on being at the Abbey tonight. The atmosphere was crackling on the radio. Mikey says, having options on the bench making all the difference this evening. Fajiri Okunabire pushing hard for a place in the starting 11 in the next game. Keep the messages there and heading into us. Let's make our way back over to the Abbey Stadium. Mark Johnson's had the opportunity to catch his breath.
Really?
And Jono, it was a game, and I suppose Derek's point there on the text is so true. It's a game that last season would have probably found a way to slip away from the U's, but they weren't having any of it this evening.
Absolutely agree with him 100%. This was a game United would have lost last season because the defence would have been under more pressure, because they knew there wasn't an outlet at the other end, and as a result they would have conceded. And they would have this was a game they would probably have lost 3-0 last season, because once the door was open they would have then been caught chasing the game. But because you've got options to come off the bench to freshen up your attack, and you've got players who've already got a nose for goal, that takes the pressure off the defence. Defence still has to be on its mettle, but it's not the defence that's going to win the game, or at least preserve the point. It's the attack that's going to do its job, and that's what they didn't have last season.
Alex Dyke.
Yeah, I agree.
The sound.
The sound of where we live.
How much credit does a Hadley deserve? Not only this evening, we could throw Bristol Rovers
Local
into the
BBC
mix
radio.
as well, where you're doing a lot of the hard work, but unfortunately you're not on the pitch at the moment that it happens.
Yeah, exactly. To say that if you to value a Hadmi's work, you need to think of it like an exam. A Hadmi was a revision. The exam itself was Okunabire, but without the hard work and the revision put in, Okunabire's goal wouldn't have happened. The defence wouldn't have been run as ragged as it was. And by the end of the game, that Reading backline looked what it was, a work in progress that's not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination. It looked tired, and it did look a bit ragged at times, and it looked like they were trying to adapt to a style that they're not quite ready for. But that was not necessarily detriment to Reading. That was credit to the U's, who kept them on the toes for long periods of time. Wasn't just Ahadme, it was Lancaster who was doing a lot of the unsung work that you don't often notice from him, closing players down, making the defence work to get the ball away. It's great to see all the bells and whistles and wonderful passes and twists and turns from Jack Lancaster when he's able to do that part of his game, but he's also developed that hard-working element that keeps the defenders honest.
In a game that was quite often nip and tuck, and there was the ebb and flow to it, crucial really, the U's having that sense of identity and purpose and all of the work that's taken place during pre-season. For Reading, as you say, still very much looking at a work in progress, and therefore they did lose their way at times.
Well, they lost half a pre-season, at least half a pre-season, while they had that transfer embargo, and then doing a supermarket sweep of 13 players until the 1st of September can't be easy to mould a side. They're in pre-season mode at the moment, not necessarily in fitness levels, but perhaps with some of them, like Clinton Mola, who came off the bench, who was a free agent signing, having been released by Stuttgart at the end of last season. He cannot possibly be match fit yet. So that's the issue they've got, but they've also got the issue that the patterns and styles, combinations, they're still learning as they go along because they've got so many new faces. They almost need to introduce themselves as they come onto the pitch, just as well they've got the names on the backs of the shirts.
Let's talk about Will Mannion. For a performance from a backup goalkeeper, that was pretty much top notch, wasn't it, this evening?
It was. He made there were two key moments from a United point of view. The goal, obviously, but the double save on about the half-hour mark that kept Reading from opening the door was absolutely crucial, and he knew it. And to see him celebrate as if he'd saved the winning penalty in a shootout in front of the Newmarket Road end was brilliant to see, especially as I could see that he'd already got his concentration and the ball was not going to come pinging back to him and embarrass him as well. So it was great from that point of view. So he was pretty flawless today. Helps having such a defence in front of you. You've got the three experienced men of Danny Andrew, two more experienced in Morrison and Ryan Bennett, and Liam Bennett, who plays as if he's experienced. So that helps, having that back four in front of you. George Thomas, Paul Digby in front of them as well, looked reasonably solid for the entire 90 minutes. You can't go 90 minutes without coming under some degree of pressure, particularly from a side that's chasing the game. But I thought United defended well.
For Will Mannion to come in and to keep the clean sheet, obviously we don't know when he would have found out about being in the side, at what stage Jack Stevens had picked up the injury. Still some question marks for Will over his fitness, given that he'd been on the sidelines and perhaps a sense that he'd been rushed back into the team. But as you say, and we spoke about it in the build-up, having Ryan Bennett and Michael Morrison in front of you makes such a huge difference. And full credit to the whole side in that the combination play, the link-up play from the opening games that we just didn't see at Leyton Orient. It was very much back and evident tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. If I go back to Mannion, he didn't look like a player who'd been dropped in at the last minute. He looked as if he'd played behind that back four every week, and I think that was testament. But no, you're right. The key attacking fluidity from United was back. When they play like that, they can look really good going forward. And at some point, and I haven't said this for a while, at some point someone's going to get taken to the absolute cleaners by United this season.
Well, it's a really interesting point, isn't it? And you wonder whether it's going to be fascinating to hear from Mark Bonner, because I think tonight's victory is the sort of victory he really enjoys, where it doesn't all go your own way. You have difficult periods in the game, but you find a way to win. There were periods in the match where the final ball wasn't there, where the play on the break, it didn't quite link up properly. But there is this sense with this Cambridge United side that there will be the match where it clicks for large swathes of the game. And it's quite exciting, really, that we've got 4 wins from 6 on the board, and we can see that room for improvement. We can see the potential that's there.
Absolutely, and Mark Bonner is relishing this. He's high-fiving everyone. He's gone from his Sky TV advert to go and talk to Doug. He even almost high-fived the Reading media man by mistake, who was ready to film the Reading manager, but that didn't go down to the street.
Call 0800 141 2121.
Local BBC Radio.
You should be excited. I know you were saying when you were reading the table out, it's only 6 games. But it's 6 games.
Call 0800 141 2121.
To go if you want to look at it like that. There's a long way to go in the season, obviously, but you have to enjoy the moments when they feel good. Like, it's a hot, sticky evening at the Abbey. United have won. There'll be an evening at the Abbey when United haven't won and it's bitterly cold and we can't put enough layers on. So let's enjoy this moment when the U's are back in the playoffs.
Fajiri Okunabire then with the only goal of the game this evening, his 4th of the season, as we've mentioned, likely to be pushing hard to get into the starting 11. It's where the man management becomes really interesting, and as a manager you have to balance all of the personalities. But if you've scored 4 goals over the opening 6 or 7 games, that is pretty impressive. Ghassan Ahadmi, of course, the regular starter in attack for the U's. So 1-0 win this evening. Let's bring you the League One table. Cambridge United up to 6th, 12 points from 6 games played, 4 wins, 2 defeats. The defeats coming at the hands of Stevenage and Leyton Orient, a goal difference of +4. So they're level on points, the U's, with Portsmouth and Oxford, who are also on 12. Port Vale, Stevenage, Bolton and Exeter all on 13. Exeter leading the way on goal difference. I suppose I have to mention this because U's fans, you want to know the posh. 13th in the table, 9 points. So the U's now with a little bit of a cushion. Peterborough United having lost their past 3, won the first 3, lost the next 3. Down at the bottom of the table, the sides currently without a win anywhere: Cheltenham, Fleetwood and Burton. Fleetwood without a manager, having parted company with Scott Brown. And when the U's went there the other day, we were talking about how, despite their off-field issues, their squad building over the summer looked really impressive, but it hasn't happened for them at all as yet. Just the 1 point on the board. 1 point for Cheltenham as well. Burton on 2 points. Then Wigan, 21st on 2 points, but of course their points deduction rather impacting on their league positioning. 81333 is the text message number. We're at BBC Cam Sport. If you'd like to send us a message via Twitter. On WhatsApp, you can make us a contact via the app 08000 321 333. 08000 321 333. Make us a contact via the app, but remember to start your messages CAM. Ben on WhatsApp says, brilliant performance, thoroughly deserved 3 points, 7 out of 10 for at least 14 of the players, maybe aside from Danny Andrew in the first half. Looked like we were going to rue those misses from Ahadmi and from George Thomas, but super sub Fajiri stepping up once again, brilliantly assisted by my man of the match, James Brophy. The Palace lad looks more than a bit decent. I just love watching George Thomas. So much skill, so much energy. Thank you for that one, Ben. Ollie says, after missing the first few games, not a bad way for me to return to the Abbey. Really confident performance across the whole of the pitch. Couple of nervy moments though. Will Mannion doing very well stepping in. Hopefully that match a really big confidence boost for him. It's refreshing to see strong attacking ability on the bench. 2 of the subs directly involved in the goal. Kachunga really putting in the work as well. Looking forward to keeping track of our season from the southwest while I'm at uni. Man of the match though today, George Thomas.
0800 141 2121.
Thank you for that one. Dan says, looking forward to hearing about the Brophy doubters.
Alex Dyke
Getting on the radio.
Local BBC Radio.
Doesn't half excite. Let's hope no one is looking for a manager who is watching on the telly this evening. Hang on a minute. Can't even see where Posh are in the table at the moment from up here in the playoff places. Nick on Twitter says, fantastic work, fantastic support. Love to see the togetherness within the squad. We are certainly finding our way this season. Jono, just on George Thomas, had a bit of a shocker really at Leyton Orient. Nothing worked for him at all. So great strength of character, just underlining his personality and his ability as well, just to bounce straight back.
Yeah, and it shows the importance of him to the team, perhaps, that if he has a shocker, perhaps United have a shocker. So he does bring that little bit of quality from deep. He allows Paul Digby to sit a bit and to break things up, but he's got boundless energy and he's by nature an attacking midfielder. So he seems to be relishing life at United this season. He was at the end of last season and he's kicked on again from there. So when he gets fully fit, he's going to be a real joy to behold for the U's. But the fact that he had a shocker at Orient and United did doesn't feel like a coincidence, does it?
Well, also the way in which he plays, and we haven't really had this with Cambridge United under Mark Bonner, as brilliant as Wes Hoolahan was, different sort of player. We haven't really had the player who's going to pull the strings from midfield and spray the ball around. And as you say, probably no coincidence given the way in which George has embedded himself in that midfield role, that we are now in a position where if he has an off day, then it's difficult for the rest of the team. And I suppose on that basis, he really needs to stay fit.
But the other thing about George Thomas is his natural position, or his more vaunted position, is further forward, and I can't see where he'd get in at the moment further forward with Kai playing well, Brophy playing well, Lancaster on the off bench as well.
Call 0800 141 2121.
Local BBC Radio.
Double benefit for the U's and for him actually. So it puts pressure throughout the side. No, it puts options throughout the side.
Given what Mark Bonner likes to see from his attacking players, it just works well for everyone having Thomas in that deeper role, because arguably he doesn't have the hard running and the mobility that Mark likes in the flexible players around his striker. So dropping him a bit deeper, it allows that technical play to be properly utilised. I think the other thing that's obvious about George Thomas is that he is such a big personality. You can see him chivying, chatting away, getting in the ear of the ref, exactly the sorts of things you need and exactly what the U's didn't have enough of, certainly over the first half of last season.
The closest we've had to that sort of player under Mark Bonner is Adam May in the promotion season, I think, when he sat in that deeper role at times and popped up with some wonderful goals. That's all George Thomas needs to do to complete his game from that deeper position. But I think that's the closest we've come, and Thomas, I think, is better than May in that role.
Just looking at the overall shape of the season so far, and it's been a question mark for Cambridge United under Mark Bonner, full stop. You look at the game this evening, and we were talking about it in the context of Will Mannion, massive with his saves, because the first goal always looked as though it was going to be huge. And in so many games, the first goal is huge, but it's particularly big for Cambridge United. So what I'm wondering, Jono, in the context of this season, does it really matter if the U's continue on down this route where there is a lot of emphasis on the first goal and they're not particularly great at battling back? If plan A can be to have that solid defence and to go and get that first goal, does it matter if you have the odd off day where you don't get the first goal and it all unravels? Or is it really important still that the U's find a way to add that to their armoury if they possibly can?
Well, I think it's important if United don't have too many off days when they have to battle and chase a game at the moment, because they're not quite suited to that. But they will certainly be looking to add that to their arsenal, to be able to chase a game, and to unpick defences that are solid and looking to hang on, having scored first against the U's. So although U's are great on the counter-attack, they do need to add that second element to their game. But that'll develop, I think, as the season progresses, because they seem to have players who can unpick locks. Now you've got raw pace on either side of the attacking three in midfield. You've got Lancaster who can pick Sace open with his feet almost, and then you've got the options up front as well. So they're moving in that direction to be a bit more two-dimensional. But at the moment, you're right, there is a concern, if you like, that you U's, if they do concede the first goal, are in for a very difficult afternoon. So you have two ways round it. You either find a solution to it, or you just hope you don't concede the first goal too many times. But as things stand, I think, 13 more wins for 48 points?
Well, I was just thinking that. I was just having a look at the table from last season to double check that the U's had won 13 matches. It is quite mad when you think we're a month into the season. Yeah. They've already won 4. And as we've said a number of times, they're just a different feel around the start this time. I know the U's were strong at the beginning of last season and then it all unravelled, but there's just a different feeling around this side. Yeah. And to have the 4 wins on the board, I guess what always happens, Jono, in this kind of scenario is that you're half seriously, half joking, talking about the relegation target and getting points on the board. That has to be the first target for the U's, but what you want to do is get there, or get a large proportion of those points on the board so you know it's a done deal as soon as possible, and then you can start to think about other things. That's where the 50 points, or however you want to describe it, becomes important.
Absolutely, you're right. You have to lay the platform first. Let's not have any of that noise.
Call 0800 141 2121.
Local BBC Radio.
Points tally out the way, say February, be great, and then see where it takes you from that point. But there are a series of things you want to check off as you start the season. You want your first home win. You want your first clean sheet. You want your first away win, your first away clean sheet. You want your strikers to start scoring. You want your first midweek win under lights. So that one's ticked off. Then you start looking at things like you want your first come from behind win. You want your first win when it's cold. So there are all sorts of things still to be ticked off this season, but you can only tick off what's available to tick off. And this win under lights feels important.
Jono, we'll get back to you in just a second. Mark Bonner still to come before we go off air this evening, but it's been a great night for Cambridge United. Another win on the board. Who knows where the U's can head from here, but they've given themselves a great platform, a great starting point. We're a month into the new season, and a great position from which to build.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Sports.
It's BBC Radio Cambridgeshire on a Monday night. Cambridge United beating Reading by a 1-0, moving up to 6th in the formative League One table. 4 wins from their opening 6 matches. Fajiri Okunabire coming off the bench to score the winning goal.
Okunabire round the corner towards Brophy. Brophy will look to run at his man. Into the area he goes. Tries to pull it back. And thump home. Hughes in front. Fajiri Okunabire started it and finished it, bumping it home from close range. He played it out towards the right-hand side. The ball came back in and it was bumped home from close range emphatically. 7 minutes to go. Hughes had the goal. Cambridge United 1, Reading 0.
In the Speedway this evening, 3 wins from 3 for the Peterborough Panthers, beating Sheffield by 53 points to 37. It doesn't make any difference in the context of the Premiership season, but nice to see the Panthers finally building a little bit of momentum. At the US Open, Jack Draper facing Andrei Rublev for a place in the quarterfinals. Draper beaten in 4 sets, 6-3, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. So Rublev heading into the last 8. All of the Brits now out of the singles competition at Flushing Meadow. Newly turned professional Ludwig Aberg is the arguably most eye-catching wildcard pick. Luke Donald picking his wildcards ahead of the Ryder Cup for the European team. Tommy Fleetwood, Sepp Straka, Shane Lowry, Nikolai Højgaard also in the team, as is England's Justin Rose, who will be making his 6th appearance.
It means a lot, it really does. I've been down to my gym there, and there's a nice little array of 5 Ryder Cup trophies, and number 6, always was hopeful that was coming along, but 4 years it slips by pretty quickly, and I know there wasn't a ton of good golf in there for me, but one of the biggest inspirations I had was the Ryder Cup, to really kind of prove that I was still playing well, and obviously that my form was good.
Rugby and England captain Owen Farrell says finally he can turn his attention to the World Cup after the lengthy saga surrounding his red card, the red card he picked up in the warm-up fixture against Wales. He will miss the opening 2 pool matches for England. He was initially shown a yellow card, that was upgraded to a red, then it was overturned, and then it became a red again on appeal. Farrell says he's all ready to go for the World Cup and admits he is fed up with fielding questions about his red card.
I've kind of got caught up in the excitement of what's coming up now. That bit though is not the most exciting bit for me. It is about the game on Saturday. It is about being over here in France. It is about the World Cup starting. Yeah, it was obviously a frustrating couple of weeks, but it is what it is, and we accept it and hopefully move on pretty quickly.
81333 if you want to text us at BBC Cam Sport is our address on Twitter and on WhatsApp. 08000 321 333. We'll get to a few more of your messages in just a bit. So let's do a few more of the messages we've got coming in. Sam on Twitter says perfect game for the TV, probably deserved to win on the balance of play. I'm curious though as to our XG this evening. Sorry, Doug Shulman. Yeah, Doug likes stats, but he's not a fan of XG. I think, and people can shoot me down on this, but there were some contentious refereeing decisions we benefited from. Great atmosphere tonight as well. Nathan on Twitter says, to a man, everyone can see what we're all about. Looks as though it's going to be a very exciting season. The tip, he says, promotion party back on. I've already ordered a round of kachungas. We'll see you all there. And this message coming in from James in St Ives. What a night under the lights for the Mighty U's. The Abbey was rocking. Think we deserved the 3 points on balance. And great to see us bounce back from last Saturday. Strong performances all over. But my man of the match, James Brophy, who was superb. Great to see a strong bench really impacting the game. Well, back over to Mark Johnson. Jono and Doug, of course, guiding you through the game this evening, and it wasn't always plain sailing. Jono, would a draw have been a good result as it was heading into the final 10 minutes? How were you feeling in the commentary box about a potential point?
No, I was starting to feel that was 2 points dropped for the first half performance when United did enough without testing the keeper enough. Second half, maybe on balance, the point from that would have been about right. But over the whatever time the goal was, over the 82.5 minutes before that, I think United would and should have felt hard done by if they'd not taken the full points. I would certainly not have settled for a point at that stage.
And the perfect time to get a win. It's never a bad time to pick up 3 points, but ahead of an international break where you've got a postponement. Okay, we've got the posh game coming up in the EFL Trophy, but when you've got a 2-week break, never a bad way to sign off by getting a win on the board.
No, exactly. I mean, the posh game is not really relevant to United's league campaign other than to keep players fit, ready to force their way into contention. So, in terms of signing off for league games ahead of the international break, it's absolutely perfect. A good performance, a good team performance, and on a night where it needed to be a squad performance, it was. I think we flagged that one up quite early anyway. I mean, the way United play with that high energy and that looking to freshen up and counter-attack, it's going to be a squad season, but particularly on a night like this when it was sticky and humid and tested fitness levels, United passed those tests with flying colours.
One of the things that I found slightly strange about the game this evening was that Reading didn't attempt to do any of the things that Leyton Orient had done really well to go and get the win. But I wonder whether you hear Ruben Sellers talking and he's got these very clear ideas about how he wants his side to play. Presumably he's not a manager who's overly minded to look at games and adapt accordingly.
Perhaps not, or perhaps he's only had 15 minutes to work with some of the players to get those ideas over. It's a process. We saw it for probably half a season when Mark Bonner first took over at United. It took until the start of the following season for that process to really take off, and promotion followed. So you have to be patient in this game, and patience is one of the commodities that's sadly lacking. But you could see what Reading were trying to do in fits and starts, but for much of the time, particularly in the first half, They looked as if they were a bit shocked by United, as if they'd just turned up and thought, oh, who should we play today? Oh, there's a team there, we'll see if we can take them off. They didn't look as if they'd done any preparation. Half-time changed it for them, and they suddenly decided to try and put United on the back foot, but before that, they looked decidedly undercooked.
I thought they looked a bit nervy at times, and perhaps that was down to opening minute, you're almost 1-0 down. Maybe that does take time to recover. Maybe it's to do with all of the issues they've had off the field and the uncertainty there. But yeah, they certainly they looked unsure of themselves at points in that game.
They did. I wonder if it was because there is a big element of inexperience in that starting 11, certainly, and in the squad as a whole, that perhaps we're a little bit intimidated by being under lights on television. Perhaps they're not used to it. That might have been a factor. Shouldn't have been, but it could have been that they're simply not used to the big stage of the Abbey Stadium. There's a phrase you didn't think you'd hear me say.
Oh, we all love the big stage of the Abbey Stadium. There is something really special about the Abbey at night, and probably above anything else, it's the best element of. We've had all of the backwards and forwards over would the U's have a new stadium or not. When they do the redevelopment of the Abbey, they've got to find a way to ensure, and I'm sure they will do, but to ensure that it retains that magic under lights on a weeknight.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It is a special place when it's packed to the rafters, and it wasn't far off that tonight. And the crowd gets going, and they certainly did from minute one. We had liftoff, and at the Newmarket Road end, the second half where the goal went in, I think it was about 6 on the Richter scale when that went off. That was fantastic. You do get a special atmosphere here at the Abbey under lights. It always has been, even on poor nights, but particularly when it's a good night and United are going well. It's lovely to feel. It's one of those hairs on the back of the neck experience sometimes when you get a small stadium full. That makes a big difference. You see some of the like good example or bad example, if you like, is Stadium MK. If their supporters can be loud away from home when they're all together, but in a bowl of a stadium like that, they might as well be playing in an open field. You don't get the benefit lower down. You have to have, if you're going to have a big crowd, a big stadium, you need it to be full. Any stadium is always better full.
Yeah, the Abbey just has a particularly, it's so vibrant under lights, and all the fans being so close to the pitch obviously plays a part in that.
It's a bit like the old Upton Park when West Ham were there. That was always a horrible place. Or the old Den when the police allowed Millwall supporters into the bottom tier. It was an intimidating place. It was a loud place, and it was a cosy, but not in a good way, kind of place for a visiting team. And the Abbey can be like that, not in a nasty kind of way, but it creates that sort of unique enclosed atmosphere because it's not a huge ground.
I think you're right as well. It's a good point of contrast. You mentioned Stadium MK, but what do Reading have? They have the Medeski, which I would guess certainly in League One is not going to be packed out week in, week out. So for some of these young players, you've got to adapt from playing in the home games to then going away from home, whether it's at the Abbey, whether it's going to Stevenage, wherever it might be. Anyway, we are ready to hear from Mark Bonner, so let's get Mark's thoughts. The U's with a 1-0 win, up into the playoff places, flying high in League One. For Jiri Okunabiro with the all-important goal. Mark's been having a chat with Doug.
Mark, a super performance this evening. I thought you deserved the win. You must be really pleased with what you've seen there.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant game, I have to say it. Both teams good chances, both teams trying to win the game. Drama throughout the game, and the ending, obviously they could have got something from it. But I thought our performance level was good, and I liked the intent that we started with. Brilliant chance early on. I was surprised we didn't score so early on in the game, so it was there for us maybe, but I'm delighted with the game that we played, with the game or the situation we were in, because we gave our subs a chance to come on and win the game, which is important. We've got to make sure we make those changes. We're in a game that gives them a chance of winning it for us. So yeah, lots to like about us tonight. Much more like us. I think 5 out of 6 games have been a good side this year.
Yeah, and against Championship opposition, certainly the Championship last season, and First half, some breathless football played at times. I guess the only disappointment was that you didn't go in at half-time with an advantage when you consider, 40 seconds in looked like Gassan giving you the lead.
Yeah, I mean, that was a brilliant chance. That must have been close. I haven't seen anything back yet. But, I love in the 30th minute how we defended our box. Like, amazing. Everybody chucking their body in the way to block things. That's us. That's us at our best. You got to give everything. Bit rock and roll sometimes. Not always perfect, but that's what we want to see. And I really like the intent in our game tonight. I thought we played some good football at times, but I also like the energy that we played with, and credit to the players for responding properly, credit to them for the amount of work they've put in over the last week. It's been a long while since the last game, and we've had a big training block to get ready for this one, and we look good because of it, I thought.
Yeah, you'd say obviously increase the pressure after the break, lots of high energy. I guess your message to the players at half time would be keep doing what you're doing, but just add that little bit of quality in front of goal.
A little bit, keep doing what you're doing. We thought there was a few areas we could have done a bit better. I don't think Broth's had an impact on the first half, two inside the game, and second half miles better, like really carried a threat, injected tempo into the game. But Kaiko was a real threat in the first half until he tired a little bit in the second half. I loved some of Danny's quality with the ball at times tonight when we started to play a bit bigger and beyond their fullbacks who were jumping high. That gave us a better opportunity. So just a few moments in our approach play that we could have got a bit of better control. And they play a style that floods the middle of the pitch and forces you to defend quite narrow. So it was an interesting game, tactically preparing for it. They've got so much athleticism in their team. They can break incredibly quick, press very fast and recover well when they've got in. You saw Faye comes on, gets in one-on-one instantly, but the recovery from the defence is outstanding. They're so athletic there. So tough game. They've got a young side, they're building something different and something new, but they're a big club, and I think the 3 wins that we've had here have been against very, very good teams, so that's encouraging for us.
Yeah, it was a perfect game in some senses for you, because obviously they're a side that like to come and attack, they like to control possession, and I thought you won a lot of the midfield battles tonight, which was key.
Yeah, we needed to be aggressive. I thought we were. I thought Diggers and Thomas did a really good job in there. The wide players had to work incredibly hard, and the full-backs also. So it was a big challenge for us tonight in lots of ways, tactically and in terms of our game intelligence, but we responded well. So yeah, really, really pleased with the physicality that we gave in that game. I thought in the first half it was just like such a good tempo. I didn't say the ball hardly ever went out, and as soon as it did, teams were like get it back in play really fast. So yeah, really, really entertaining. I enjoyed it.
83rd minute, Fajiri off the bench once again, gets the killer goal. It was a super goal to watch as well. You must have enjoyed that one yourself.
It was a brilliant goal. Everything about it. The finish is great, but the whole approach play, just so quick, so concise with our play. We had a couple of those moments today that didn't quite end the right way for us, but I thought it was a really good goal, and his impact's been excellent. Catch was the same. J.K. Gordon's come on tonight and looks a good player, gives us more pace, more power. So it's exciting when you've got those options to bring on, because you can really, as the game starts to tire or opposition start to tire, you can bring the real athleticism into it. So yeah, really pleased with that.
Of course, you always want those options off the bench to make a difference, but it's been really telling this season. You must be really pleased with how that's playing out, Mark.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, you're only ever one injury away. We've had a couple of games where we only had 1 or 2 options rather than the 3 or 4 in terms of really attacking ones. So you're only a couple of injuries away, but the golden medal will be if we can get Sakes fit, Jordan fit, Adam May fit, and keep all of these fit, and we'll have a good squad to pick from.
Yeah, one of the changes you had to make tonight, Jack Stevens, we understand, is injured. What's the situation with him? But Will comes in, makes the most of the opportunity, keeps a clean sheet. That's 4 in 6 now.
Well, 4 in 6 is outstanding. Firstly, I thought Will kept a good goal, kicked well considering he's kicked for 1 day in the last 3 weeks because he's had a hip flexor injury. So we probably rushed him a bit for tonight. He's only trained with the team Sunday, trained with Martin on Saturday, but it was an important thing for us to put him in. He's got very good composure and experience, so that was important. I thought he did very well. Jack's got a tight groin, pulled his groin a little bit. It's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks, but in effect he might not actually miss many games because of the game schedule the way it is. So yeah, I thought Will did a great job. And tonight, we're not on the stage very often, we're not in the spotlight very often, but when you are, I think as a club you want to represent yourselves really well. You want to show people the type of team you are. So I was really pleased with the team performance, but I thought the atmosphere in the ground was brilliant, and I hope that shone through to people watching it, because I think that's really important. Thanks to the ground staff that were here all day Sunday, because we trained here yesterday on the pitch, so we battered the pitch for them the day before, but I thought it was magnificent tonight. So yeah, big credit for everyone tonight.
I know you're never surprised at the way that your side react, but to do so in the manner that they've done, win the game and get the performance after the defeat at Leyton Orient is really encouraging.
Yeah, all you can ask for is the performance, really, because you can't control the outcome. So you've just got to get that right, and hopefully that'll go in your favour more often than not. So sometimes you'll play really well and lose, or sometimes they'll score in the 95th minute or whatever, and it could have been easily, it could have been a 1-1 game with the way that ended. So it is what it is. We just take the encouragement that we played a good game and hope that more often than not the results fall the right way for us.
Yeah, 8 games since that last league game. You've got to wait another 12 now for the next one. It's a shame you've got to wait that long, really, with the performance that they put in tonight.
It is, but you can't control those things, really. We've got the trophy game next Tuesday. It gives us a little chance to, with a few that are injured, they don't miss as many games, so we're not against that, really. It gives a real good training block for those that are getting fit, Adam May, those types of boys. Some of them can play in the trophy next week, as well as some of these lads, but it'll set us up nicely, ready for the Wigan game when that one comes around. And we play 10 games in 30 days in October and November, so we'll take the breaks whenever you get them and be ready for that when it comes around.
So that's Mark Bonner, a very happy man, as you might expect. Jono, just as a final point, we've spoken about having the options on the bench, and Doug touched upon it there in the interview with Mark. But crucially this evening as well, bold from Mark to use 3 all at the same time, and it paid off well.
He's done that a little bit more this season, hasn't he? He's had more attacking options, and he's used them en masse. Just a few times, and it has paid off well. Yeah, you're right. What it does, it gives no respite whatsoever to the opposing defenders. Instead of saying, OK, well, we're going to bring on 3 or 1 fresh striker at a time to give tiring defenders 1 more player, they just go mob-handed and give all sorts of problems. And that must be a nightmare to deal with, because you can't make matching changes defensively without disrupting your whole side.
It's certainly a very, very useful element to have in your armoury. Jono, thank you very much for your commentary this evening. Doug Shulman, Mark Johnson at the Abbey Stadium. Cambridge United with a 1-0 win. We're out of time. The U's 6th in the League One table. A little bit of a break until Cambridge United are back in action, thanks to the international call-ups for Wickham and the postponement at the weekend. But perhaps no bad thing to have a little more time on the training ground, a bit more time for some of the injured players to get fit. It's been a very satisfactory evening. If you want to catch the interview with Mark Bonner again, if you missed it at all, we'll have it up online for you in just a moment or two if you head over to our Twitter feed at BBC Cam Sports.